Everybody, Nightmares Nightly in the house. All right. I see we got the chat going up a little bit. I'm here. What's up, Jerry? Good to see you. Let's see. I want to see, make sure my microphone. I got a new microphone, everybody. So we. Oh, sweet! I hear it. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So we got the new microphones working. Everything's sounding pretty good. What is up, Jerry? What's up, King Ark and Lullaby? How are y'all tonight? Good morning to you, Lullaby. That's right. Glad to see y'all already in the chat. Here, let's see. Let me change a couple of things real quick. All right. Let me just let me switch that playback to 113 in 3 weeks. Okay, got that. Now let me make sure that that actually plays. Just gotta, messing around with a couple of settings real quick. What's up, Osiris? Okay, sweet. That works. Gotta make sure all the settings are in tip-top shape. Okie dokie. So we got a few things planned for tonight. Caffeine and a live reading. No better way to start the day. There we go. Let me get... We're on monitor 1. Actually, wait one sec. Get all this set up. Got that. Make sure all my monitors are in the right spot. Trying to think how much of a... Here, we got that going. Then there's that. All right. It's so nice having a second monitor now, guys. Okay. Just making sure that all my making sure all my private stuff or whatever is on the right hand monitor. Like, like Discord messages and email and stuff like that. That's gotta be on monitor number 2. Alley oops, I'm late, but I'm here. Girl, you are 1 minute late. Don't even worry about it. All right. Let's see. Pull that up. Boom, boom, boom. Get that done. Get that done. Okay, we got that over there. I mean, I guess I can. I don't need to. Yeah, all right, I'll close that out. Get some of the. Okay. Now that I'm done babbling and yabbing off over here, what's up, Donna? Let's get down to what we have planned for tonight. Let's open up a new sound file. Okay, get Audacity going. One day I will use Adobe. I'll use Audition one day. All right, got that. All right, that's going to be something we listen to later tonight. Oh yeah, let me get the background music. Okay. Kevin MacLeod, Aftermath. Yeah, that is my favorite thing to listen to. Dude, this is going to be so random, by the way. I'm so glad I saw you in tonight's live chat. Why Duro Neurom 6380. I'm so glad this is, dude, this is so random because I know I've seen you comment on I've seen you comment on the videos a lot. So I know you're a frequenter of the channel, you're a friend of the channel and everything. This is gonna be so crazy, man. But I watched that let me bring the screenshot. I screenshotted this just because I was like, wait, I know that person, I think. Dude, I was watching the Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debate, and then I was watching Tim Pool, Timcast IRL, and I saw your comment in their live chat, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, here I am on my personal account, and I see Yduranuram 6380 comment, and I was like, dude, well, I saw the picture, and I was like, I know that picture. And I was like, that's got to be the guy that comments on my YouTube videos. And watch, people will probably be a little pissed because they're like, you watch Tim Pool? I watch things from left and right. I get my media from all kinds of sources. But I saw you in the live chat, YD 6380. I have your comment. I screenshotted it. I don't want to say your comment out loud, but that is just so funny. I knew it was you. That is just so cool. There's also another person I saw I saw Winston Wins in a random comment thread on just a random YouTube video. And I was like, no way, I know Winston. I just thought that was so crazy. How often do you watch Timcast? What should I call you, by the way? Because I don't even know how to. Why do you run Neurons? I don't even know how to say your name. I watch. I just find it entertaining. I'll watch Timcast. At like 8 o'clock while I'm doing DoorDash while I'm working. Just because it's something that I play in the background that I find entertaining to listen to. Listen to all of them talk. But that was just so fun. I could not believe that I looked at the live chat at the exact moment that you typed, because the live chat's so fast you can hardly even see anything, and I can't believe I looked at it and saw your picture and was like, that's him. That is just still like the chances of that. And then I was like, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna see if I see his comments, and I'm gonna compare, make sure they're the same people. Rudy, that's what's up. Yeah, I'm not a Candace fan, to be honest. Not after. I am in some things, but not with what she's doing. I think she's completely wrong with the Charlie Kirk crap, and I think she's just profiting off of his death, to be completely honest. But that's just my own personal opinion. I do like some of her other stuff, but not that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's just so crazy. All right, let's go ahead into what we have, or what I have planned for tonight. We got quite. Oh, here, let me put the screen up. Here we go. Okay, we got quite a few things up here. This is a very long story, so we're not going to read that. That's just up here because I found this like an hour ago, and I was like, hey, maybe we'll this will be on the channel at some point. But I found this like an hour ago, and I was like, ooh, it's a long one. It's 20,000 words. So you're looking at like 2.5 hours. I'm going to there's like multiple characters in this, so this is going to be a collab. Might read Necrosleep tonight. And Red Thread. I want to get Red Thread of Evidence done. Yep, and was supposed to be a friend. Exactly. I'll be honest. I thought that Andrew Wilson, Candace Owens debate was like a complete waste of time, like for the most part. I do think that, I don't even know, maybe only 2 of y'all even saw it in the chat, but Candace basically had no evidence. she couldn't back up a single claim. Now, I watch Andrew Wilson a lot because I think he's hilarious. He's also an asshole, but I think he's funny. I watch his like whatever debates because they are so funny, and they're like 8 hours long, and I need an 8 hour thing, when I'm working. So I'll put that on and let's do it while I work, and I don't have to touch YouTube again. And they're hilarious. He's hilarious. I don't think he did that good against Candace Owens at all. To be honest, I don't think he did good at all. Now I think Candace Owens didn't do good either because she didn't have any actual evidence to back up the claim that Tyler is not guilty, or that Tyler's a patch. She had no evidence to support her claims. Andrew could have went in way harder on her, but he didn't. But whatever. But yeah, it did expose her. But the internet thinks she won the debate, but that's because Candace Owens has like millions of followers, so you can't even really go on what the internet says because it's all a popularity contest. I think she got stomped, but I don't think Andrew did very good either, to be honest. She just had no evidence. And she was extremely, she was just yabby, wouldn't stop talking. She was very aggressive on the defense. I'm like, damn, relax. But anyways, we're going to read Red Thread of Evidence tonight. Tons of bots, yeah. We're going to read Red Thread of Evidence tonight. This is by Mac. I think we'll read it. It's technically a Halloween pasta, but, Necro Sleep. If y'all watch Creepcast, y'all will know that they recently just did this, which makes me not want to do it, but I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it because I wanted to. Try to get Monster I Carried Out of the Woods. I think we'll try to get that done. I do want to get Endless done, so maybe I'll actually prioritize these two tonight. Let me go ahead and let me set a goal here. It's just like normal. Let's see. Go longer and sneak peek. All right. It's gonna say 10 super chat goal, but it's basically just gonna be if we hit $25 combined between super chats and memberships, USD, then we'll go ahead and I have a 30-minute story that I can play for y'all. This will be a sneak peek. It'll probably be tomorrow's story or sometime this week. I do apologize. Last week we read those two stories that I said was gonna be they were gonna be member only videos, and they were supposed to, but I've been so busy with the baby this week. And my wife being at work and me staying at home, that I just had no time to record anything else. So I had to take those two member videos and put them on the regular YouTube channel for everybody. So this will be a member video, I think, because it's not I'm not putting this on the regular channel. This is like 15 minutes long. So this will be a member video, and then Endless will be probably a regular YouTube. Yeah, because that looks to be about a 25 to 32 minute story. The Park in the Woods is a regular YouTube video. That's 27 minutes. But yeah, Bellhaven Woods, I'm excited for this. I need to give this a speed read to see if it's worth being on the channel or not. It's 20,000 words. And I need to see if it's worth collabing with, because there will be like 5 or 6 people, maybe even 5 to 7 people in this one. I think there's about 7 or 8 characters, but maybe I only need to have like 5, and I'll do, 3 or 4 voices. Plague Towns. This is a very long creepypasta as well. I want to get that done at some point. And I just haven't had time to work on Hell Has a Prison lately, unfortunately. Maybe we'll do some of that tonight. It just depends. We'll see. We'll see what's up. But yeah, okay. Maybe we'll just yabber and chat for a few more minutes. I mean, you know what? Yeah, we're at 15 people in here. It's 7:13. We can go ahead and get started, I think. All right. This will be an 02321, so you know there's going to be some typos in it, so bear with me. Also, I have a brand new microphone that I've only used for 1 day so far. I got the, the AKG or AKG C214, I think is what it's called. These microphones are so like, they've all got like the craziest numbers. They name microphones like they named fucking asteroids in the night sky, you know. B2678942. It's like, okay, all right. Monster I carried out of the woods. Yeah, let me know how it sounds. It probably doesn't sound any different to y'all, but I like it so far. It's a little bit more sensitive, but in a good way. And you know what sucks too is this microphone was $400, so I bought that. That's fine. Microphones are expensive. I went ahead and I bought a $200 interface to replace my previous interface, and I hate it. I have a Yamaha Audiogram, which is pretty old, but you know it's been working good. But I was like, let me replace it with a new Focusrite. Hey again, where can I read the Freak Show sequel text? I figured it might be a while before you get to that one. You know what? That's a good question. Give me, let me just post that into the chat real quick, because I have it. I've got it, let's see. When I was a kid, Freak Show sequel. And who? Oh man, Voodoo Clerk. Hey, I just listened to the cleanup story. You did great. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. What's up, Cisco? What's up? Here we go. Let's see. I'm surprised it's not just like popping up right away. You know what? It's just taking me to the Google Docs. Just oh, finale. Here we go. Oh no, he's posting. I don't want to post a Google Doc in the chat. Just Google. When I was a kid, I joined a Freak Show sequel, Voodoo Clerk, and it'll pop up. That's about a 30,000 word story, I want to say. I have it on my Google Docs. I'm working on highlighting the parts in there, and it's just one of those things, man. Those collabs like that, they just take like dozens of hours, between everything. All right, yeah. Who did the? Oh yeah, 02321 did that cleanup story too. I was a little concerned because the actual title of that is "I Clean Hoarder Houses," and then something after that. And I was like, it's just exactly like the title to the Dark Somnium video and the Creepcast video where the guy cleans hoarder houses and he finds a painting and he goes inside of it. So I had to mess with the title a little bit on that. But yeah, there we go. All right. Oh yeah, I had this new interface. It's a $200 Focusrite, and I plugged it in, and I don't know what, but here, so here's the screen here. When you look at, I'm going to be silent for a few seconds. Watch. Now you see here, there's no background noise, right? I plugged the Focusrite in, and then picture like that. I plug in the Focusrite. Here, let me see. And then all of a sudden, look at the little pink on the bottom. Kind of ignore this little blue mark right there, but yeah. I plug in my Focusrite, and I got all this pink in the waveform, which is just background noise that it was picking up. So that was a super bummer, and it was stuff that I didn't want to have to edit that out, because the Focusrite, I don't know what it did. Maybe my Yamaha was filtering out background noise to a certain extent, and then I plug the Focusrite in and it doesn't have that capability, I guess. So I can't use the Focusrite interface until I just have a very quiet space. So that's how that works, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Lullaby, for the $7.99. Thank you. I saw Mandy on a video comment yesterday, so it was good to at least hear from her in the comment section. I found a monster in the woods. Every year I spend a week in the woods alone. I cannot stand being inside my empty house on the anniversary of when I lost everything important in my life. The walls close in on me and I feel suffocated. So I go to the woods. I sleep, drink, and try to shoot at least one deer. On the second day of my trip, I was walking through the forest in damp weather feeling miserable when I came across it. A creature hanging by its foot from a tree. I forgot to. So if we hit the goal tonight of the $25, then we will listen to the next story that I have done. It's 30 minutes long. And then I think I'm going to finish this. This is a member video. It's about robots wandering the city, like a human apocalypse. I got like 10 minutes of that recorded, so we'll just listen to this, and then I'll finish recording that right there. It's going to be about a 22-minute story. And then, if we hit the goal, I would love to show y'all I have most of the outline done for the next Elijah Mandrake story. So if we hit the goal, I'll be showing the outline for Elijah. And if y'all have some ideas on what to add in, we can do that on the fly too, and we can maybe all work on a little bit of the story together, at least outline-wise. That's also something that I'd like to start doing during the live streams, especially if we can get a few more people in. If we can kind of double the numbers to around 30, we can really start workshopping live story outlines. And then like I can workshop outlines with y'all on the stream and then write those for the channel. I think that would be super cool to like do viewer collaborated stories, basically. A creature hanging by its foot from a tree. I panicked when I first saw a creature hanging by its foot from a tree. I panicked when I first saw the figure strung up in the tree and rushed forward, hoping if it was a person I could still help. As I got closer, I saw that even though its body was similar to a human, all the proportions looked wrong. The legs far too long and skinny, the stomach sunken in, rib cage visible, making it seem like it had no muscle mass or fat. I stopped below the creature, staring up at it in disbelief of what I was seeing. One foot was stuck inside a bear trap that was attached to a chain hooked over a branch. Its entire body was hanging from a torn and bloody ankle snared inside the trap. Wrists tied together and arms so long they nearly reached the ground as they dangled past its head. The creature's face was covered by a blank wooden oval with moss spilling out from it. At first, I was certain it was dead. As I got closer, I saw the chest rise weakly as if it let out a small wheezing breathe from under the mask. Wait, 1 second, that sentence doesn't make sense. As I got closer, I saw the chest rise weakly, as if let out small wheezing. Okay, I'll fix it. As I got closer, I saw the chest rise weakly as if it was letting out small, wheezing breathes from under the mask. Even without seeing what was under the mask, I knew this thing wasn't human. The woods had a bad reputation of people going missing. Most didn't like camping overnight inside the forest anymore. It was a good place to fish and hunt, but not to stay the night. I had my hunting rifle with me. I could put it out of its misery, or just leave it alone. Someone put this thing here. They might be back for it. Misty rain came back down, and I could see a puff of my breath in the terrible weather. My feet cold and fingers stiff. It would get dark in a few hours. I should go back to my camp and get dry, or else I'd get sick. Or leave this damn forest before any more of these creatures came for me. Instead, I did something only a sane person would do. I placed my gear on the ground to climb the tree to get the creature down. It was the middle of the night when the creature stirred. I treated the wounds the best I could. Getting the bear trap off without cutting my hand took almost an hour to do. Dragging the lanky thing back to camp wore me out, and I still needed to dry the creature off and wrap up its wounds. The damn thing better appreciate what I did for it. While I waited for it to wake up, I sat by the fire, sitting under a tarp to keep dry. I let the monster I dragged back use my tent What the fuck? I let the monster use my tent, keeping the flap. I let the monster I dragged back use my tent, keeping the flap open so I could keep an eye on it. I was dead tired but didn't want to fall asleep, with whatever the thing was close by to eat me. Its limbs were so long I had to fold them to make sure it fit inside my small tent. At some point in the middle of the night, I heard movement. Slowly a hand came out, long fingers testing the damp ground. I couldn't see the thing's expression because of the mask and moss covering its entire head. Even while it slept, I didn't dare look what it really looked. Fucking A, man. I didn't dare. All right, what should I change that? I didn't dare, how about I didn't dare take a peek to see what it looked like. How about that? New to the channel, Donna Jane, but listening while I'm doing busy work. Nice. My brain just had a fart right there. I just couldn't read for a second. In its entire head. All right. Gotta find where see the thing's expression because of the mask. Okay, there we are. Because of the mask and moss covering its entire head. Even while it slept, I didn't dare try to get a glimpse of what it really looked like. I remained still, wrapped up in my spare blanket. If it attacked, I could shoot it, but I didn't even reach for the rifle. Half of the creature's body came out of the tent, body freezing up when it sensed me nearby. The next few seconds were tense. Neither of us moved, waiting for the other to act first. I'd hoped this would be a treat and release process. That when this creature woke up, it would just go back off into the woods. I wasn't so lucky. It made the choice to attack the easy target. Maybe I gotta... Okay, is it attacking him? Alright, I gotta put a little bit more, urgency in reading that. I'd say it's early morning, Kevin, but you don't have that. You're right, I sure don't. And I actually got a lot of sleep today. So I watched the baby last night while my wife is a night shift nurse. And I got put the baby to sleep at 9. I went to bed at 12. Baby woke up at 2. Got back to sleep at 3:30 in the morning. Woke up at 7 or 6. Wife got home. And then when she got home, we chilled for a bit. And then I slept from 9:30 to 1. So my sleep was broken up into small chunks, but I ended up getting a lot all together. I wasn't so lucky. It made the choice to attack the easy target. Darting forward, it cleared the distance between us quickly. I was knocked over. Thin. Come on. Y'all are going to hear me rage again at the typos. Darting forward, it cleared the distance between us quickly. I was knocked over. Thin, bony hands pinning me down to the ground. The mask flipped out so fast, I never saw what was underneath. Sharp teeth grabbed a hold of my jacket and started to shake it, tearing the fabric, but not reaching my skin. The attack didn't last very long. I was fully ready to accept my death in that moment. After all, I had nothing waiting for me outside of that forest. If I could become food, at least my death would mean something. But this creature didn't even give me that. It stopped, releasing my coat, and staggered back. Collapsing on its side, it let out ragged, wheezing breaths. It used up all of its strength in that thin body. I watched, wondering what to do next. I grabbed a blanket from my tent, trying to wrap it up to keep the creature warm. It weakly pushed my hands away, sharp claws catching my coat, but not tearing it. Wrapping the thing up, very much like a burrito, I went about getting it back inside the tent. I couldn't see the creature's expression, but I could sense how annoyed my new campmate was being manhandled and wrapped up. Until it regained some strength, it would need to accept some help. I went back outside, wrapped myself in my own blanket again, and stared back into the weak fire. I planned on staying up all night, but I drifted between sleep until dawn came. Out in the trees I heard sounds, as if someone was walking around in the dark just beyond my camp. Fear fluttered in my stomach. I was out in the open, exhausted from the cold weather. I didn't mind death, but I was afraid of whatever was stalking around in the night. When morning arrived, I looked around the camp to find someone, or something had in fact been circling my camp. Muddy tracks and broken twigs gave me enough evidence of being watched. I wondered if it was more of those creatures waiting to grab the injured on the inside of the tent. At least I lived through one night so far. My new guest was out of the tent when I got back to camp. It wrapped up in a blanket. New guest was out of the tent when I got back to camp. It was wrapped up in the blanket, glaring at me from under the mask. I could feel the eyes on me, even if I couldn't see them. I needed to think of what to do next. I could just pack up and leave. I doubted these things would follow me into the city. It still wasn't healed up and wouldn't be able to protect itself if whoever hung it came back. Trying to get the creature to eat, it had no interest in the hot dogs and marshmallows I brought. It was a little surreal seeing a lanky creature like it in the dim gray morning light. This thing wasn't human, and yet I was helping it for reasons I didn't know. Aside from people, this thing might eat other meat. If I could shoot some game, maybe a good meal would help it gain some strength back. And maybe for all my trouble, I would be eaten in the end. Only time would tell how thankful this thing would be for all the help. I didn't want to go off into the forest hunting alone. If another person came across my camp, I didn't want them to come across my monster. One of them would end up dead if that happened. I paced, trying to think of what to do. As if it could sense my train of thought, the lanky creature bundled the blanket, pulling it. As if it could sense my train of thought, the lanky. Where was I? As if it could sense my train of thought, the lanky creature bundled the blanket, putting it inside the tent to stay dry. Then it climbed up my back, lanky limbs wrapping around me. My skin crawled and stood, back bent trying to support the sudden weight change. I waited for the attack that never came. We just awkwardly stood there waiting on each other to do something. I could go hunting if I carried the creature on my back. It would take longer than normal, but it could be done. Picking up my rifle and small pack, I started off into the trees, still really creeped out by the thing that I decided to help. At least it wasn't trying to eat me. I really needed to call the creature on my back something. Naming things was difficult. I went through at least 100 while sneaking through the woods, trying to pick up on any game tracks. I didn't know what it was beside not human. Skinwalker and Wendigo just didn't suit what it was from what I've heard about them. No legends or cryptid names felt right. And soon I found myself not caring if I had the name of its species. I doubted humans even came across them often enough to give it a name. I was startled out of my thoughts when I came right up on a deer. A decent-sized buck that should have run before I even got this close. Holding my breath, I froze, hand on my rifle. Careful to make as little noise as possible, I raised my weapon to get my shot lined up. For a moment, I wondered if what I was doing was even right. This thing I was taking care of could be evil. The missing person cases was a hint towards that. Then again, it might just be a part of nature. Killing a deer to feed the creature wouldn't be wrong if this is what happened in the woods without me interfering. I shot twice for good measure. The buck fell with a grunt of surprise. The thing on my back dropped to the ground moving like liquid. It sulked towards the fallen creature, masked face darting around as if expecting something was going to swoop in and take its food. While watching it eat, I decided on a name in the worst way possible. I've seen videos of what a fox sounds like. Those nightmare screechers and screechers, what the... I've seen videos of what a fox sounds like. Those nightmare screeches and sounds were the same kind this creature made while it tore into the deer and ate. Because its back was turned to me, I never saw its face. Just the fact the mask was lifted so it could bite and tear off chunks of flesh. Fox felt like a suitable name for the monster I'd taken in. Fox, I said mostly to myself, trying the name out. The creature slightly turned to my voice, letting me see a... I said mostly to myself, trying the name out. The creature slightly turned in my voice, letting me see a human-looking mouth but filled with sharp, bloody teeth. I think he liked the name. Fox ate through the entire deer with insane speed. Even after devouring through pounds of meat, he was still skinny enough for me to see his rib cage. It was a mystery where he put it all. Gathering up the larger bones, he followed me back to the camp. At least he could walk now, although limping and trailing behind. He was crawling mostly on all fours, even though he was holding bones in his hands. I led him to the river first so he could get cleaned up in the cold water, and I refilled some of my bottles to boil later. When we arrived back at camp, Fox gnawed on a rib while reluctantly letting me look at his injured ankle. It healed so much I knew he'd be fine by tonight or tomorrow. Watching him chew through his bone stash, I wondered yet again what I was doing. Not only did I not leave him to die, I'd named him. There was something seriously wrong with me if I could get attached to a creature like this. "You can eat me, you know," I told him, not knowing if he knew what I was saying. Fox looked over at my voice, but didn't pause in his nod, oh, I was right, I don't know why. I remember as a kid trying to convince my brother to catch a koala so we could pet it. That's hilarious. Oh man, that is too funny. I told him, not knowing if he knew what I was saying. Fox looked over at my voice, but didn't pause in his gnawing. A bone under his moss blanket covering his face. Strangely enough, I wasn't scared of him. I'd already accepted my death for a while now. If he wanted to eat me next, I'd almost welcome it. The rest of the day, I would let him wander around camp and kept the... To eat me next, I'd almost welcome it. The rest of the day, I let him wander around camp and I kept the fire going and took a few short naps to catch up on sleep. When night fell, the fear of death finally came to me. I was inside the tent while Fox stayed beside the fire. I'd heard noises from outside and carefully crawled away from my sleeping bag to try and see the source. It sounded like a few people walking just outside where the firelight could reach. Fox tensed up, looking ready to attack if needed. I found my rifle, taking it into my hands as silently as I could. My eyes adjusted to the darkness and I could faintly see forms similar to Fox moving around in the trees. There was more of whatever he was in this forest. I stood waiting for them to make a move, rifle pointing downward. I didn't want to shoot one if they only showed up to pick up a missing member of their pack. One was brave enough to poke its head into the light. It was low to the ground, lanky elbows pointing up. It also had a blank wooden mask, but it had a mane of tangled branches covering the upper half of its body. For a second, I thought I spotted glowing eyes inside that heap of wood staring daggers at me. "Well, go on," I whispered to Fox, trying to encourage him to go and rejoin his group. Almost like cats, they got closer to each other on all fours, backs arched, studying and doing a half circle around each other. Other creatures appeared watching the exchange, each having a mask of wood with some sort of pile of forest debris covering their faces. Some stood on two legs, making them almost 8 feet tall. Other on all fours, ready to swiftly run if startled. It looked like it was going well. Fox got closer to the other creature and reached a clawed hand over as a gesture I didn't understand. In a blink of an eye, they both flew into a flurry of motion. Horrible hissing and garbling cries came from the tangled pair, thrashed and trying to kill each other. My heart sank and a pit of black fear opened up my stomach. Fox healed up a bit since he was with me, but he wasn't strong enough to fight off the newcomer, let alone all the other ones in the woods watching. I accepted I would die, but I was not able to let Fox die with me. I lifted my rifle and aimed it away from the fight. I fired it off into the woods, aiming at nothing. I hoped the sound would make them stop, and it worked. The one creature stopped to look around for the sound. Fox kicked the other aside and scrambled at me as I ran over and stood between him and the other pale form. The newcomer was covered in scratches dripping in blood. Fox looked worse. His broken arm and countless cuts on his thin body from the brief fight. Getting between them, I received a fast, long cut along my arm, but it was nothing compared to what Fox went through. Between them, I received a fast, long cut along my arm, but it was nothing compared to what Fox went through. I pointed my rifle towards the monster on all fours, ready to fire if needed. "What's up, Kev? Sorry about the Patreon. My wife canceled it thinking it was the kid." That's funny. I'll get back on there sooner than later. No problem, Nikki. No problem at all, man. You good. Thank you. On all fours, ready to fire if needed. It stared at me from behind that faceless mask. The other creatures didn't move. I heard Fox shuffling around behind me, but I didn't turn to see what he was doing. When the other creature turned its head for man, I need to get something to drink. Oh yeah! All right. Once we're done this story, I'm gonna run downstairs and grab a Diet Coke. And the story is actually a little longer than I thought. All right, where? Where are we at? Behind me, but I didn't turn to see what he was doing. When the other shuffling around behind me, but I didn't turn to see what he was doing. Shuffling around behind me, but I didn't turn to see what he was doing. When the other creature turned its head away from me to watch Fox, I finally did the same. He'd taken off the faceless wooden mask from his hood of moss and tossed it into the fire in front of all of us. The wood gave off a high-pitched shrieking sound as if it was a dying animal. Black flames shot up, spewing into the sky for a few seconds until the noise died down. The mask was burned up completely. Fox sat next to the fire nursing his bad arm. Slowly, the creatures around us started to leave one by one, until the one that attacked Fox remained. It sat, blood dripping from its wounds. Finally, it too turned and left us. My arm bleeding and rifle feeling heavy. Dropping my weapon, I collapsed. See, that's not supposed to be a period there. Come on, it's a comma. Finally, it too turned and left us. My arm bleeding and rifle feeling heavy, I dropped my weapon and I collapsed to my knees. I don't say blah, blah, blah. Do you have a Cash App? It'd be easier to donate on that than anything else. I do have a Cash App technically, although I don't use it. Because just no one donates to it. Let me see. I know I know I have a PayPal. I do use my PayPal pretty often, because I've got to use that. Um, oh my gosh, have y'all been hearing? Has this been making noise? Okay, good. I have League of Legends muted. I was like, if y'all have been hearing that in the background the whole time, that would suck. Let me actually look real quick. Um, I do use my PayPal pretty often because I pay authors and that, and sometimes I do get some donos from PayPal. I actually need to start. I need to start actually linking that in the descriptions and whatnot. I need to start linking my PayPal in video descriptions. Let me go to home. See, PayPal is just so confusing to me. Like, where is my share button? You know, I don't even know where. Hmm. Yeah, like this is PayPal account, PayPal.com. Let's see what happens if. Oh, there goes my little puppers. What's he barking at? You know, he's been very. Seems like he's been very. My dog has been very. What do you call it? Anxious lately, I guess, or most YouTubers who ever run the cash app, that's all I got. LOL. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I totally get that. I think I have it on my phone. Yeah, I should actually start posting that just in descriptions, because people do occasionally want to do that. Oh, hey, there it is. I do have it up here. Oh wow, this is super easy. I just boom, boom, copy hashtag link. Is that how that works? Copy hashtag link. Yeah, we got a 27-pound cockapoo, and he's the cutest little thing. But boy, oh boy, I mean, I guess ever since a couple, we've had the baby for a few months, but I mean, man, now he'll bark at. Maybe he's in a little bit of a protective mode. I don't know, but he's barking at everything now, and then it sucks because I'm like, no, no, you're gonna wake up, baby girl, and he does. But you know what? He's being a good boy still. Ooh, We Try Horror sent me a collab link for the video that we did or that I offer my voice in. Let me just put and don't you do not have to use that, Nikki, at all. But I did put it up in there. You can save it for later or something like that. Um, that's super awesome though, man. I appreciate you a ton. The Patreon stuff. That's going into the Patreon stuff is going into the studio, which I've got the money for the studio, but I don't think I can build it anymore. Like I don't think it can go up here because I want a studio to be soundproof. I don't want any fucking noise coming in, right? So now I'm thinking maybe I don't put it upstairs. I might put it in the garage. But the garage is hot, right? I can deal with the winter when it gets cold, but the garage gets hot as shit. It gets 85 degrees in the summer, maybe 9, but it's 85, but then it's like 80% humidity, right? So, um, I would like to put it in the garage because if I put it in the garage, I can make that thing 1,000 pounds if I want, right? It can be as heavy as I want and it can be completely soundproof. If I put it upstairs, I'm gonna have to, um, bring the weight down, which means it won't be as soundproof. But then if I put it in the garage, I'll also need to buy another computer because I'm not taking, the stuff I do all my YouTube stuff on, is my personal computer, right? Um, don't Hassan him. Rudy, me and you seem to watch a lot of the same videos because we probably watch a lot of politics and current events, don't we? May want to take a poll. In my experience, Cash App. It may be worth you making a Cash App only because I personally don't even know anyone who has. Oh yeah, you're actually completely right. When it comes to like regular people, almost no one has a PayPal. I didn't have a PayPal until I started doing this a couple years ago. So you're actually completely right about that. That's a very good point. If I put it in the garage, I'll need to buy a second computer that I do and then I'll have to move all my um I'll have to move my I'll have to get another computer desk. It can be small because I'll just need a computer, a monitor, a desk, and then move my microphone and stuff down there. But I'll need to buy a second computer. See, that's gonna be. I want to do everything on one computer, so yeah. Well, I gotta think. I gotta think it through. I think I'm just gonna put it back upstairs and just make it not as heavy. But yeah. Thanks for giving me another family. Well, thank you, Allie, for the $5 and for that awesome comment. Amanda, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. You came in on the tail end of this one. Let me go ahead. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to keep my eyes on Home Depot sells the 4x8 sheets of soundboard. Yeah, so to give y'all a rundown through of what I want again is thank you, Lullaby, $7.99. Thank you. I want the studio is going to look like this. It's going to be made out of 2x4, so it's going to have to be kind of structurally sound a little bit. Although maybe I could, maybe get away with something a little bit smaller to get the weight down. And then I need a layer of drywall, or it can be another kind of board that's, sound. But drywall's not bad for soundproofing. It's going to go drywall, and then an inch of rock wool for the sound deadening. And then it's going to be another layer of drywall or some kind of board, and then I'm going to put a little bit of carpeting, like the cheap carpeting stuff you just staple to the inside, and then I guess I'll go with the some soundproofing foam, but like the drywall that's going to be like 200 pounds. This thing's going to be like 4x4. It's got to be. I got to make the footprint pretty big because I need the weight spread out across enough joists, so that way it's not all the weight's not going on like two. So I need to do that, and then that's gonna have to be changed a little bit. The footprint's gonna be a little different. It's gonna be a few things on there. So we'll see how that goes. I am looking at, I think on the low end, 600 pounds. I want to say. Yeah, I think it'll be around 600 pounds. And then you got to think with me in it, with a desk in it, with a chair in it, a monitor in it, that's at least another 210. So I don't know. I need to get with an engineer, show my blueprints, tell them how heavy it can be. Everyone's like, I'm getting half the people say, oh, that's, a modern house, that'll be good. Your house can handle it. And the other half is like, yeah, you're going to want to rip the floor up, and then you're going to want to add in some extra joists or whatever, and, reinforce the floor. And I'm like, fucking A. All right, let's see. Just checking out some things real quick. Hi, Jerry, Cisco, cheap glue down. Cisco, they just had me a donut. I can only see the. Oh, sorry. I was looking up some sensitive stuff on the screen, so I put the thumbnail back up. But very good point. I can go ahead and put the regular stuff back up there now. We Try Horror sent me his collab link, so I went ahead and I was checking out PayPal stuff, so I had to put the regular thumbnail back on the screen. Monitor 1. I did a small donation on Cash App. Thank you, Cisco. Does anybody know? Are those instant? Do they take a little while to come in? Trying to see. I don't see anything, any balance on in there yet, but let's see. We need to verify your identity. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I really can't wait, though, to get the studio set up, because that is going to be, once I get something that's nice and soundproof, that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, it's also going to just up the quality of videos and whatnot. I mean, there probably won't even be a noticeable difference for y'all, to be honest. But, you know, maybe it'll be there. It's going to help me a lot. I want to start doing commercials and voiceover for commercials and whatnot. It'll help a lot with that. So that'll be fun. Cash App should be instant. You just got to approve the person sending it to you. Ah, that is good to know. All right, let's go ahead and get back. I would love to do commercials. I mean, if I can do commercials or even just small voiceover work, like not even big commercials, man. You know, it can be like family businesses and stuff like that. My goal is to leave my day job and just do voiceover work, just do YouTube, just do voiceover work here and there, stay at home with my family all day, and just do that. That'd be awesome. You can easily look up the capacity of Joyce and figure out if you have enough, which you probably do. I think so. I do have the I do have my blueprint, and it does show me. I think there's a Joyce. I want to say every 14. I don't know. It's 14 or 16 inches, I think. But yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. It's more. It's got to be more. More than enough, I think. But you know. It'd be horrible if I just fell through the floor one day while recording a creepypasta. That would suck. Yeah. Maybe I didn't set this, maybe I didn't set up my Cash App right, because I don't see anything in it. But anyways, moving on. Where are we at in the story? I dropped my weapon and I collapsed to my knees. Alright, where is that at? I dropped my weapon and collapsed to my knees. Oh, there it is. Caring about someone else was beyond stressful. White hot pain started to come through my body from, no, okay, here we go. White hot pain started to come through my body from my cut. I found my arm was too heavy to move to see how deep the wound was. Trying to stand, my legs suddenly refused to work. Not knowing why, I fainted into a deep sleep I didn't awake from. Okay, I guess that's right. Refused to work. Not knowing why, I fainted into a deep sleep I didn't awake from until it was morning. Oh, Cisco, I bought some donuts the other day. You know, so there's a Dunkin' Donuts right next to where I live. And I've never been there. I've only been to Dunkin' once. And sorry if you work at like a mom and pop place, sorry if that kills your soul a little bit. There's no mom and pop donut places around me anywhere, no bakeries. But I went to the Dunkin' Donuts and I was like, you know what? Let me get this Dunkin' Donuts and let me get like half a dozen. And I was like, hello, you know, I want 2 chocolate donuts and I want 4 jelly-filled donuts. You pick whatever they are. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We just ran out of jelly-filled. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I wanted some jelly donuts so bad. So then I just said, well, pick me 4 of whatever then. With deep sleep I didn't wake from until it was morning. When I opened my eyes, I was inside my tent on my side. My arm out front of me so I could see the wound was stuffed with moss. I felt hot and too weak to move or do anything at all. I couldn't even move my fingers. Pain came in waves as I tried to ignore it. Focusing on anything but the throbbing in my arm, I listened to the pattering of rain outside. The light was gray and impossible to tell what time it was. The tent flap open, letting cool air and misty rain come inside the tent. Fox must have been the one to put me in here, but he didn't know how zippers worked. My energy fading, I fell asleep again. Donna Jane, $5. Nice to support a new artist. Thank you so much. Thank you. I just made gluten-free apple fritters. I miss wheat. The next few days, I knew I was dying. Whatever got into my cut was nasty. That creature easily being able to kill with one strike of its claws. I slept most of the time, far too weak and feverish to move. Fox would keep me hydrated by lifting my head to let me drink from my steel water bottle I brought along. But the water tasted muddy. He was getting it from the river, not knowing to boil it. His efforts might just kill me faster. In my fever dreams, I was tormented by the truth that haunted my every waking hour. The only reason I wanted death so badly, even though it was too much... Oh no. By the truth that haunted my every waking hour. The reason I wanted death so badly, even though I was too much of a coward to do it myself. I wasn't there to hear the car accident, but was still plagued by the sounds. My mind repeated the sound of the officer knocking on my door at 4 a.m. to awkwardly tell me the news. His first time saying such tragic words to another person. And I knew it was all my fault. 5 years ago, I cheated on my wife. A one-night fling I did not have a good reason aside from I just felt like it. I told her knowing I would be unable to hide it. She very understandably got upset and left the house to her brother's place 4 blocks away. They both drank and insulted me, something I rightfully deserved. To this day, I don't know why they decided to drive back home that night. She was too drunk to drive, but her brother thought he was fine. It was only 4 blocks away from our... why'd I say it like that? Too drunk to drive, but her brother thought he was fine. It was only 4 blocks away from our home, and yet they got into a 3-car pileup from people leaving the bar for a night. Everyone in my wife's car died that night. Everyone else in the other cars were lucky enough to receive injuries they could recover from. 3 people died. My wife, her brother, and our daughter in the back seat of the car. I went to sleep when she left and wasn't even aware she took our daughter to her brother's place with her. All because I made one decision to go home with a woman that I thought was attractive. A whim killed 3 people. I needed to live with that fact for the rest of my life. Delirious from the fever, I could barely keep my eyes open. I saw Fox sitting next to me, his form blurry in my weak state. I couldn't handle falling back asleep and hearing my daughter was gone again. Please, kill me, I begged him in a voice barely above a whisper. He didn't react for a long time. The longer I looked, the more I noticed he was slightly different. More human. His proportions not as lanky as before. He leaned in, and I saw instead of the moss covering his face, he replaced it with a torn-up fabric that was once my clothing. He didn't keep it together with glue or thread. My tired brain wondered how the heaps of cloth stayed on his head. Reaching over, he took my arm, now red and infected from the cut. It caused a jolt of pain that almost knocked me out again to rattle my bones. Lifting my hand to his pain that almost knocked me out again to rattle my bones. Lifting my hand to his covered face, Fox lifted some of the rags to reveal a mouth of sharp teeth. Without any hesitation, he took my pinky finger off in one bite. I let out a soft scream, struggling to stay awake. Letting my hand drop, his fingers came into view, moving directly to my throat. Darkness overtook me. I died. Fox choked the life out of me. And then, he gave some back. It's something beyond anything I could ever understand of how it happened. And I don't think I ever need to fully understand it. I woke up, scar on my arm, feeling better than I had in years. Aside from being stiff, my illness left me. I was still inside my tent, rain softly hitting against the outside. Looking to my side, a bundle of blankets was taking up most of the space. Peeking under them, Fox was curled up. He moved from his nest, being disturbed, but didn't wake up. I left him alone, climbing out of the tent, trying to get the kinks out of my back. It was still damp, but I was glad to be in the cool air outside. A few minutes passed after I came out and I took stock of everything. My pinky was still gone, but wound healed along with the cut on my arm. Aside from my clothing being torn apart by Fox, nothing else... Why'd I say it like that? Nothing else touched the camp while I was out of commission. I was wondering what I should do when the crunching of twigs drew my attention. A pair of men stood wearing raincoats over wet gear, both with rifles over their shoulders, unable to keep them dry. I thought I saw some chain poking out from one of their overpacked bags. Each seemed as if they were camping for a long time and worn down to the bone. "Can I help you with anything?" I asked the pair, voice cracking from a dry throat. I knew who they were. Without a doubt, they trapped Fox and left him hung up in a tree to die. I wondered if I was going to run into the people who did such a thing and didn't know how to react when it happened. "Have you seen anything strange at night?" one asked slowly while looking over my camp. I felt my hands start to shake and forced myself to keep them steady. "Nope, nothing. Terrible weather, don't you think? I'm gonna pack up and leave today. I hope I sounded casual enough." Glancing over, I saw Fox sitting up in the tent, moving around in the blanket pile silently. From the angle, only I was the one who could see him. The two men looked at each other as if trying to decide something. If Fox saw them, would he kill them? Would I let them? Would I let him? Would I let him after what they did? If we let them go back into the forest, these two would kill more of those things. I was sure of that. Whatever was in the woods they hunted, whatever was in the woods, they hunted them down. And I found that I didn't care. I didn't save Fox because of what he was. I saved him to give myself a reason to keep going. He was special because I named him, and that made him special. They hurt him before he became that. If they left, I wouldn't go after them. But if they dared trying to harm Fox now, I wouldn't hesitate in killing them. Either they were too tired to deal with me, or I looked natural enough for them to believe my lie. "All right, take care of yourself," the older one said with a small wave of his hand. I watched as they left, still holding my breath. Fox poked out his head, covered in rags, directed towards the men who were already gone. Still not too late to go after them. Fox gave them no notice. "Do you want to go home?" I asked him, not even sure if he could understand me. When I left the woods, I took something with me. A creature that almost looks human now. I sold my house and bought a very small cabin by the lake. I figured it would be better suited for Fox being around woods. He's never spoken to me, and I've never seen what face he hides. There's still so much about the monster I carried out of those. There's still. Man, I gotta take my contacts out. They're drying. There is still so much I don't know about the monster I carried out of those woods. The only thing I do know about him is he's now my reason to keep living. I never needed a good one. I just needed something. Oh, that was a nice ending. That was a nice ending. That was cute. All right. We just finished that one. I might do the thumbnail on stream with y'all, maybe. Y'all like that. We seem to have get a good kick out of that. I might do the thumbnail on stream. It depends. I want to get through at least one. All right, so what we're going to do now is I need to take a break. I need to grab something to drink. I need to take the contacts out, stuff like that. I have 10 minutes of this post-apocalypse robot story done. One that I wrote a long time ago. Just never... What's the title of the story? Monster I Carried Out of the Woods. This is a story... The robot story is one that I wrote a long time ago, and I just never got to recording. Got 10 minutes of that recorded. I'm going to play that while I'm gone, and then I'm going to read the other half live on stream. And then I would like to hopefully get at least one more story. So finish the robot story, and then record a whole nother story before we finish tonight, at least. And if we hit the dono goal, I will... I'll record longer, and we will listen to the half-hour story that I have done called The Park in the Woods. Alrighty, I'll be right back. I'll be watching chat. Is this connected to your other apocalypse stories? No, this is just a one-off. Good to see you here, Elder Gusto. Rain slid down the side of my faceplate in thin silver streams as I stood at the edge of the skyscraper and looked out over Manhattan. The city stretched forever. Not the city humanity had built. That version had died centuries ago. This was something else now. Trees rose between avenues like green rivers flooding through concrete canyons. Entire buildings had collapsed into themselves over the centuries, their interiors spilling out into the streets in rusted heaps of steel and shattered glass now softened beneath moss and vines. Rooftops had become gardens. Birds nested in the hollow ribs of office towers. Far below, water filled sections of the streets where the ground had cracked open long ago, reflecting gray morning clouds like fractured mirrors. The old world had not survived, but Earth had. Wind moved through the skeletons of skyscrapers with a low, hollow whistle that sounded almost like distant voices. And sometimes I liked to imagine the city was speaking to itself. Behind me came the familiar electric whir of spinning wheels. "You know," Wheels said, "after 112 years of friendship, I feel comfortable admitting something." I kept looking over the skyline. "What is it?" "This view is exactly the same every time." I turned slightly toward him. Rain dotted his rounded metal shell and ran down the yellow paint that had faded almost entirely to gray over the centuries. He was barely 3 feet tall, supported by the 2 thick rubber wheels mounted to either side of his body. Once upon a time, he had cleaned hospitals and shopping centers. Now he spent his days following me through the corpse of civilization. "The skyline changes with the weather," I said. Wheels rolled beside me and stared out over the city. "Fantastic. Today the apocalypse is moist." I ignored him and looked eastward where... Oh, sorry to pause the story, guys. Let me see. Cisco? I just saw the thing. Thank you so much. I had to go in there. So I haven't been on the Cash App in so long. It wanted me to go in and set some things up, so I just got it. Thank you so much, Cisco. Thank you. back to the story. I ignored him and looked eastward where the vines had completely swallowed the side of a crumbling apartment complex. Hundreds of trees had sprouted from the rooftops over the years, making the building resemble a cliffside forest more than architecture. I often wondered if humanity would have liked what the world became after them. Then again, humanity had spent most of its existence trying to stop nature from doing exactly this. "Where are we going today?" "I thought we could revisit Midtown." "We've visited Midtown 17 times. 18. Wonderful. Maybe this time the humans will magically reappear." His sarcasm was automatic now. I started toward the rooftop access stairwell. The rusted metal door hung crooked on its hinges, barely attached anymore. Ivy crawled through the frame and disappeared into the darkness below. "We haven't searched every structure." "We've searched enough structures to confidently declare humanity extremely dead." I descended the stairwell while wheels bounced down step by step beside me with a loud metallic clunk. The building had once been offices. Rain-stained cubicles still sat in long rows beneath collapsed ceiling panels. Ancient computer monitors rested on desks under thick layers of dust and moss. Nature had pushed its way through shattered windows centuries ago and never stopped growing. A deer looked up at us from the far side of the room. It stared for several seconds before calmly walking through a collapsed wall and disappearing deeper into the building. Wheels watched it leave. "I continue to dislike how comfortable the animals are." "They evolved without humans." "Yeah, which means they have no healthy fear of horrifying machinery." We emerged onto the street below. Grass covered most of the old asphalt now. Rusted vehicles sat abandoned everywhere, many little more than hollow orange shells. Small trees grew through the interiors of buses. Roots split the pavement apart in jagged lines. Far down the avenue, a faded holographic billboard still flickered weakly against the rain. "Enjoy life today." Only half the letters illuminated now. "Optimistic," Wheels muttered. We walked for several hours. That was what we did. For over a century, we had wandered New York together, searching for signs that humanity still existed somewhere beyond all this quiet and abandoned buildings. We searched subway tunnels, museums, stores, libraries, rooftops, flooded basements, and collapsed transit stations. We found the traces of humanity once long gone everywhere, but never humans. Inside an overturned delivery truck, I found a small plastic object half buried beneath dirt and leaves. I carefully lifted it and brushed mud from its surface. A child's toy. Bright colors still clung stubbornly to the faded plastic. "What is it?" "I believe it was used for entertainment." "Does it make noise?" "Yeah." "Humans manufactured objects specifically designed to irritate themselves, it seems." I rotated the toy in my hands. One of the buttons still worked weakly. A distorted electronic melody crackled from the speaker before dying again. The sound echoed strangely through the empty street. For a moment, I imagined a child laughing somewhere nearby. Then silence returned. We continued south until we reached an old coffee shop partially swallowed by vines. The front windows were gone entirely. Ferns grew through the tiled floor and rain dripped steadily from the ceiling into puddles below. The menu still hung behind the counter. Mocha Latte Espresso. Wheels stared up at it. "Humans paid money for bean water." "It was social. Humans gathered in places like this to consume bean water collectively." I stepped behind the counter and examined one of the ancient machines. Humans enjoyed ritual. They also enjoyed paying $7 for a cup full of liquid. Inflation became severe near the end. Wheels emitted a mechanical hum that I had long interpreted as amusement. We left the shop as thunder rolled somewhere beyond the city. By evening, we reached Grand Central Terminal. The massive chamber stood in eerie silence beneath its shattered ceiling. Rain fell through holes high above, splashing into shallow pools that covered most of the marble floor. Vines hung from the balconies in thick curtains. Trees had begun growing directly through sections of the terminal itself. The old clock still stood at the center of the station, broken, frozen forever. I walked slowly through the water while my footsteps echoed through the enormous chamber. Once, tens of thousands of humans had passed through here every day. Now it belonged to birds and rainwater. Wheels stopped beside me near the center of the terminal. We were quiet for a time, and then I asked quietly, "Do you think we missed him?" Wheels looked out across the empty station. His optics reflected the gray light pouring through the broken ceiling. When he answered, his voice lacked its usual sarcasm. "By at least 100 years. Yeah." Even after more than a century wandering its streets, the city remained impossibly massive. Entire districts still sat unexplored beneath collapsed structures and flooded tunnels. Towers still vanished into low clouds during storms. Forests still grew atop buildings that had once held thousands of lives. But the memory of itself had faded. Every street eventually began resembling another street. Every apartment eventually became another grave. Another untouched dinner table. Another child's bedroom slowly rotting beneath vines and rainwater. Humanity's absence became palpable. Wheels and I sat beneath the hollow shelf of an elevated train platform while rain hammered the city around us. Rusted train cars still rested frozen on the tracks above. Moss coated nearly every surface. Water dripped steadily through cracks overhead and splashed across the platform in uneven rhythms. "I'm bored," Wheels announced. "You say that every day." "Yeah, but today I mean it." I looked out across the avenue where trees grew so thick between the buildings that sections of the road resembled forest trails more than streets. A family of deer moved cautiously through abandoned taxis half swallowed by vegetation. "We've searched this city for 112 years. 113 in 3 weeks. What's up? Good to see you in here tonight, Bayade. Sorry, people got some... Google puts like people's names in funny ways, so it's hard to even know what people's names are. But good to see you in here. Always good to see you in here. Let us see you comment on the stories. Thank you for being here tonight. I know y'all probably heard my chair squeaking. Got back from, I went downstairs. I had some Slim Jims. I got myself a Diet Coke. Now I'm all settled back in. 113 in 3 weeks. You've counted? I've had ample free time. I watched the deer disappear into the ruins before speaking again. I think we should leave. Wheels's wheels stopped spinning entirely. The rain continued pouring around us while he slowly turned toward me. Leave New York? Yeah. To go where? I don't know. That is an exceptionally poor travel plan. We've explored every district. I shouldn't say nearly. These guys have been exploring New York for a century. We've explored every district, not nearly every district. We've explored every district. I thought this was kind of a funny quip. We've not explored Queens thoroughly. Nobody has explored Queens thoroughly. I'll keep that in there, yeah. We've explored every district. We've not explored... Oh, wait, whose voice is that? We've explored every district. We've not explored Queens thoroughly. Nobody has explored Queens thoroughly. Wheels stared at me for several seconds. That was almost funny. I have learned some from you. That's disturbing. Still, he did not dismiss the idea immediately. That was how I knew he had been thinking the same thing for a long time. New York had become routine. We walked the same streets, climbed the same ruins, dug through the same hollow remains of human life, searching for things that never appear. We had found other robots over the years. Maintenance drones still carrying out tasks centuries after their owners vanished. Security machines patrolling empty buildings. Broken AI systems endlessly speaking to nobody. Once we found an information kiosk inside an old shopping center that still greeted every visitor cheerfully, despite the fact the mall had partially collapsed into a sinkhole 200 years earlier. But humans? Nothing. By the way, this story I wrote a while ago was inspired by, was it Love, Death, and Robots? I don't know what episode it was because it's been a while since I've seen it, but maybe 6-7 months ago, I was just watching Love, Death, and Robots. Just checking it out, and I don't remember the episode that well because it's been so while now. But it was basically robots wandering through an apocalyptic city, much like this. And I don't remember what the plot was to it. For all I know, maybe I just borrowed it one for one. I don't know. It's been a while since I wrote this, and it's been a while since I watched that exact episode. But I remember thinking, I was like, you know what? Let me get something kind of like a WALL-E kind of thing, where WALL-E is just endlessly heaping up trash piles. And I was like, let me go ahead and let me do something like that, where there are these robots that were like common household robots. So the one with no accent, the first person one, I don't think I explain it in this story, but just picture him as being like your typical iRobot, household robot, can do anything that it can do anything that a person can do. And then Wheels is, Wheels, and he's just a robot that he's limited in his functionality, and he's basically kind of like a servant meant for a few things. And I was like, okay, they're going to be two buddies, and they're just going to be searching for people the whole time. And I was like, you know what? The Love, Death, and Robots one was cool. Let me see if I can make something kind of similar in the same vein and maybe shake it up a little bit, put my own little take on it. Because I just love post-apocalyptic stuff. And I've never written something with robots in it. So I was like, let me try that out, see how it goes. All right, let's see. Nothing. Not a single living one. One sec, somebody messaged me on something. Let's see. You'd be surprised. Who have background play. Spotify isn't just for podcasts anymore. Just how YouTube isn't just for video. There we go. Just had to send this guy a message real quick. It was just them mooching about. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, they were. Just them mooching about, exploring the bones of our existence. And I guess the difference that I wanted to do was, well, I can't spoil it. We'll get to the end. Living one. Not a single living one. Wheels rolled slowly toward the edge of the platform and looked out over Manhattan. Mist drifted between the towers in pale gray sheets while rainwater poured from rooftops like waterfalls. I dislike the countryside. You've never been to the countryside. I've seen images. Excessive dirt, unnecessary insects, large open spaces designed specifically to make cleaning more difficult. Damn, listening to them fingers hitting them keys, you are a typer. you can thank me growing up playing video games and World of Warcraft for the little speedy fingers over here. Specifically to make cleaning more difficult. We may find humans. We may also find mud. 2 days later, we left the city. Crossing the outer edge of New York felt strangely ceremonial. The skyline stretched behind us beneath dark clouds while forests swallowed the old highways ahead. Trees burst through lanes of cracked asphalt. Vines wrapped around overturned trucks and collapsed overpasses. In some places, the roads vanished entirely beneath grass and wildflowers. The silence outside the city felt different. New York still carried some echoes. Winds through the towers and distant collapsing structures and the cry of birds nestling in old steel skeletons. But beyond the city, the world had become still. The air smelled cleaner and rainwater collected in enormous flooded fields where once suburbs stood. Forests stretched endlessly across the horizon. Humanity had vanished, and Earth didn't even care. We traveled for weeks through dead towns slowly being consumed by wilderness. Gas stations sat abandoned beneath Let's see. Let me check the music real quick, too. Just put it back at the beginning. There we go. I never needed a good one. Wait, where the hell is that? I just needed something. Huh? Oh, this is the wrong... I clicked on the wrong story. I was like, where the hell is that? Alright. Towns slowly being consumed by wilderness. Gas stations sat abandoned beneath trees taller than the buildings themselves. The schools crumbled into hills of ivy and broken brick. Nature swallowed everything eventually. Humanity had once covered the planet in concrete and steel, believing that they could make their existence permanent. The planet simply waited them out. One afternoon, we discovered a faded blue minivan resting beside an overgrown road. A massive tree had grown directly through the engine compartment over the centuries, splitting the vehicle nearly in half. I climbed through the rusted side door while Wheels waited outside and complained about, splitting the vehicle nearly in half. I climbed through the rusted side door while Wheels waited outside and complaining about excessive organic contamination. Inside, I found faded drawings scattered across the floorboards beneath layers of dirt and leaves. Childlike images drawn with colored markers. Stick figures holding hands beneath bright suns. Poorly drawn animals and smiling faces. I carefully lifted one of the drawings. What is it? A child's drawing. He rolled closer and stared at the paper in silence. The drawing showed 4 human figures standing beside a large square shape I eventually concluded was meant to be a house. Above them, written in uneven letters, were the words, "We love camping." Wheels tilted slightly. Humans voluntarily abandoned indoor climate control for recreation. I believe the purpose was bonding. With mosquitoes? I looked toward the empty road stretching ahead through the forest. They seemed happy. Wheels was quiet for several moments before saying, Their proportions were terrible. Who drew this? Still, when I placed the drawing back down, I noticed Wheels had carefully moved it away from a puddle leaking through a vehicle roof. Several days later, we discovered an old drive-in movie theater half reclaimed by nature. Oh, this doing this also, guys. I don't know about y'all, but I grew up watching the History Channel before it was a stupid fucking reality show, and they had that show. Oh fuck, what was it called? Life After Humans, and that show was so cool. I mean, it had some of the best and worst CGI back then too, but Life After Humans was such a cool show. I really wish, it's such a bummer what all the educational shows turned into over the past 15 years. Like when I was a teenager, Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, History Channel were actually about fucking learning. And now it's just stupid ass reality shows. Just reality shows completely ruined all the educational shows. I remember Life After Humans, awesome show. Animal Planet, I used to love Animal Planets, the most extreme. And it would do like the top 10, like top 10 speed, top 10 reflexes, top 10 super strength, and would go through a list of all these animals. I used to love that stuff. Now, I mean, I also haven't watched cable in like 5 years because cable is just a waste of money now. But back when I did have cable, up to 5 years ago, it was all bullshit reality shows. And yeah, Rudy, just political stupid stuff. It's just dumb. Yep, I don't even have cable anymore, so I don't know the sorry state of things. Yeah, same. I haven't had cable in a while now because it's just pointless. But that was back when I was, I used to love, so I grew up with three other siblings, so there was four of us. And I was always the nerdy one. So, like, we would be, going through each person's turn with their TV remote. And my siblings would watch, Disney Channel. I like Disney Channel too, but they would just watch like stuff like that, Spike TV, TNT. And then when it was my turn, we would watch The Universe, Channel 38, back where I was. And it would just be watching, learning about stars, learning about planets, learning about exoplanets, black holes. And then when it was my turn for the have the remote, they'd be like, Kevin's going to watch something educational. And then they just whine about it. But then they'd leave the room, and then 2 minutes later they'd come back in, and then they'd be watching, how the solar system was formed, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is cool," but they wouldn't want to admit it. Yeah. Oh, everyone's saying YouTube. Yep. Now YouTube has all that good stuff, and now there are just regular people that will make you'll have someone like a one-person team that will make a super awesome oh hey, I think it was 38 for me as well, and I was states away. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, 38 for me was History Channel, 48 was Animal Planet, I think 44 or 46 was Discovery Channel, and then the other one was like Discovery Health. um Channel 40 was Comedy Central. But there's this one YouTube channel that I really like. I haven't watched them in a long time because I just haven't watched that content in a while. But is this the channel? I guess like no views. This can't be what I was thinking of. Wait a second. Yeah, this is the channel. What happened to this channel? I'm looking at his latest videos and they're getting like sub 1,000. And he was getting like 500,000 a video. Let's just see. What's this?
You are not real.
Oh, no. Let's see. Oh, that's why. There's a crap AI voice. Come on. I mean, it's for all I know, that channel could have just sold his YouTube channel to some bullshit company. That was a good one, though, man. I haven't looked at that channel in a long time. But you'll find like just YouTube people of one person, and with the technology we have now, they can create their own kind of like The Universe TV channel graphics. It's like insane what you can do now. Yeah, lullaby. Yeah, you never know what you get with Nightmares Nightly. Yeah, I mean, it is, the universe is where, I used to love, that was my favorite. I love documentaries about Einstein, about Edison. I can watch that stuff all day. Drive-in movie theater half reclaimed by nature. The enormous screen still stood crooked against the sky while vines climbed across its surface like veins. Rows of rusted cars remained parked before it exactly... Huh? Okay. Vines climbed across its surface like veins. Rows of rusted cars remained parked before it exactly where they had been centuries... Fuck, I fucked it up again. Vines climbed... I wrote this sentence pretty weird. Vines climbed across its surface like veins. Rows of cars remained parked... Alright, I'm just fucking skipping that sentence. Vines climbed across its surface like veins. Humans watch films outdoors? Yeah. Why? I don't know. The projection booth still contained emergency solar reserves, somehow clinging to life. It took me nearly an hour to reroute enough power through the system, but eventually the ancient projector groaned awake in an explosion of dust and mechanical whining. She's doing fine, just doing her normal chaos goblin stuff. Good. Groaned awake in an explosion of dust and mechanical whining. A beam of light cut through the darkness. Static flickered across the giant... Talked with a lisp there for a second. A beam of light cut through the darkness. Static flickered across the giant screen before resolving into the grainy black and white images of humans laughing together beside a lake. The film skipped constantly. Audio crackled beneath heavy distortion, but it still worked. Wheels rolled beside me as we sat facing the screen among the rusted remains of hundreds of vehicles. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The humans on the screen smiled and danced and held each other while orchestral music crackled faintly through broken speakers hidden among the weeds. They looked so alive. I found myself wondering how many of them believed their world would last forever. That night, we sheltered beside an old grain silo while rain drummed softly across the metal roof overhead. Wind moved through the surrounding fields in slow waves beneath moonlight. You could have left at any time, I said quietly. What? When we first awakened, you could have traveled alone. And miss all this? He gestured towards the leaking silo around us. Luxury. I'm serious. Wheels' wheels spun idly against the dirt floor for several seconds before stopping again. At first, I assumed you eventually would. Would what? Leave. I stared at him silently. You were built for larger things. Research, exploration, advanced systems. I cleaned spilled drinks in shopping centers. You are more than your function. That is an aggressively inspirational sentence. You stayed. Wheels looked out toward the dark fields before the silo entrance. Wheels looked out toward the dark fields beyond the silo entrance. You're the closest thing I had to family. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I said, I believe humans embraced during emotional exchanges. Wheels immediately pointed one of his small utility arms towards me. Don't make this strange. The next morning, we found footprints in the mud beside the road. Fresh ones. We followed the footprints west for 2 days through a countryside that no longer felt entirely abandoned. At first, they appeared only occasionally in the mud beside old roads or near shallow streams cutting across cracked highways, faint enough that I questioned whether they were even human at all. But the farther we traveled, the more signs we found. Fence posts have been repaired with fresh wood. Trees have been chopped recently enough to expose... for the exposed. It did, Cisco. You might have been AFK, but I went through. I had to hit accept or whatnot. It shows your. See, that's why I don't want to use Cash App, because it shows my whole name. So, but thank you, Cisco. I did see it. It went through. I had to hit verify or accept or something like that. I'm gonna have to find a way to get my name off of it. And it's the same thing. I had a previous PayPal account that was just for like paying authors and stuff, and then I upgraded it to a business account, and then someone sent me money through it, and then it gave them an invoice, and then the invoice had my fucking name on it and everything. I was like, what the hell is this? And so then I had to deactivate that PayPal account and then make a new PayPal. That was just back to regular family and friends kind of thing. I was like, what the hell? Your name is on everything now. It's crazy. But yeah, just keep the name on the down low, Cisco. Thank you. I'm gonna find a way to get that off of there, because that's crazy. But that was the reason why I stopped using it the first time. PayPal doesn't show that. It only shows it if you have a business account. Fence posts have been repaired with fresh wood. Even though you can Google my name and then there's like 50 of me in this state alone, so it's like, doesn't even really matter, to be honest. Fence posts have been repaired with fresh wood. Trees have been chopped recently enough for the exposed stumps to still look pale beneath the rain. Once, we found stacked firewood covered carefully with a sheet of rusted metal to keep it dry. These were not ancient remnants slowly collapsing into nature like everything else we had spent centuries exploring. Someone had touched these places recently. Sorry, I had a hiccup coming. I was like, I know I'm about to hiccup. Someone had touched these places recently. Neither of us wanted to say what we were thinking out loud. Hope was dangerous. For over a century, Wheels and I had wandered through the ruins of humanity, believing there was nobody left to find. One sec. I got this background noise. I hear the puppers barking. Ruins of humanity, believing there was nobody left to find. The empty cities made sense because humanity was gone. The silence made sense because there was nobody there to fill it. But now every repaired fence and every footprint in the mud threatened to unravel that certainty completely. Rain fell steadily as we walked down an overgrown country road bordered by fields of waist-high grass bending in the wind. Forests covered the distant hills and dark green waves beneath heavy gray skies. If humans survived, they may not react positively by two machines walking out of the wilderness toward their home. I think humans... Oh, wait. I skipped a line. LOL, me too. Lots of Rudy Moreno in Texas, and I'm a white-looking, red-headed Mexican. Too funny. Machines walking out of the wilderness toward their home. You think they'll fear us? I think humans historically feared many things. Heights, clowns, taxes? Other humans? You avoided the question. Yeah, I did. We saw the smoke near sunset. Thin gray smoke drifted upward from somewhere beyond a hill ahead of us, calm and steady against the darkening sky. A controlled fire. Human fire. Neither of us spoke as we climbed through the hill. Controlled fire. Human fire. Neither of us spoke as we climbed the hill through wet grass and mud. Then we reached the top and saw the farmhouse below. It sat alone in the middle of a wide-open field surrounded by crooked fencing and patches of cultivated earth. The building itself looked ancient and exhausted, its roof patched together with mismatched boards and rusted sheet metal. A faded red barn leaned slightly to one side nearby, while chickens wandered through muddy pens beside the house. Laundry swayed gently on a clothesline despite the wind. You know, this is also, keeps making me think of, Silo. That Apple TV show Silo, and then the book series by Hugh E. Howell or Hugh E. Hole, something like that. I read the first book. I watched the first 2 seasons, I think, and then I read the first book, super good book, and then I'm like, I have to have the second book, and I'm like, shit, I need to read the second book, but I haven't. It's been like 2 years since I read the first one, so I'm like, fuck, I don't fucking remember anything from reading that for the first book. I remember some of the big spots that happened, but because I read the book and watched the show simultaneously, you're kind of like, oh shit, wait, what happened in the book and what happened in the show? And, you know, if you're going to read the books, you need to know what happened in the books. So that's, you know, got to get the canon right. So I'm like, oh fuck. So I might need to reread book 1, but it's a big ass book. And I'm like, I don't want to spend all that time reading it again. Swayed gently on a clothesline despite the wind. The place was alive. Alive is not a word, Kevin. Swayed gently on a... The place was alive. Come on. Swayed gently on a clothesline despite the wind. The place was alive. It wasn't preserved, it wasn't abandoned, it was alive. I stopped walking entirely. For over 100 years, I had explored humanity's graveyard. Silent cities, empty schools, rusted highways swallowed by forests. Every trace of humanity I'd ever found belonged to the dead. But smoke still rose from that chimney. Movement caught my attention near the far side of the field. A man stood among the crops with a shovel resting over one shoulder. Even from a distance, I could see the exhaustion in the way he moved. Gray streaked through his beard. Mud stained his clothing. Human. A real human. The man looked up and saw us. For one suspended moment, nobody moved. Rain swept across the fields while thunder rolled softly in the distance. Then panic overtook his face. He dropped the shovel and sprinted towards the barn as far and fast. Then panic overtook his face. He dropped the shovel and sprinted toward the barn as fast as he could run. My systems nearly locked up. Not because he fled, but let's see. I think that's stupid. Let me take that out. It's just a dumb line. You know, it's funny when you come back, like months after you write something, you're like, that's stupid. My system's near... Run. My system's nearly locked up. Let's see. Wheels, I said softly, still staring at the barn doors slamming shut behind him. That was a human. Definitely a human. We crossed the field slowly through the rain until we reached the... I'm just like mishmashing my words. Human. Definitely a human. We crossed the field slowly through the rain until we reached the barn. Faint voices drifted from inside along with the sound of children crying softly. Children. I stood before the doors for several seconds, unsure what to say. I'd imagined this moment for over a century. But now that it had arrived, I realized humans might remember whatever machines had done to the world in the first place. We should say something, I muttered. Yes, preferably something less threatening than silently looming outside the barn. I raised one hand toward the door. Hello, I called carefully. We are peaceful. No response came. Finally, I slowly pulled one of the barn doors open. Warm light spilled out into the rain. You know what? I kind of like the story ending like a minute ago. Now that it's been a while since I wrote this, and it's like, okay, the father says, "Get out, we mean no harm, you're machines, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I was specifically designed to clean shopping malls, not an aggressive profession." The oldest child, what? "I specialize in floor maintenance." I'm like, one sec. We're discovering that Kevin harasses himself about inconsistencies as he does the other authors. LOL, yes. Hypercritical of myself. I'm like, why did I even write that? This just sounds dumb. Take it out. Take it out. Get out of here. All right. I honestly kind of like the story just ending with I like the story now more by just ending it by like the robots opening the door and seeing a family of humans, and then it just ends right there. Like this ending, it kind of just goes like then the robots and the dad and the robots talk, and then the family talks, and the robots come in and blah blah blah. The youngest child approached me near the door and wrapped her arms around my leg. No human had ever touched me before. That wouldn't be true though, because it would. If I cute this, I'd have to say no human has touched me in 100 years. Yeah, you know what? I think I like it more with the door, them opening the door, and then a family of humans are in there, and then it just boom. That's it. You know, you can tell that the robots are super happy. Like the robots just want to find humanity because the robots were made to serve humanity. That's why Wheels and the unnamed robot have just been searching for people, because it's still within their programming to serve, right? And they want to serve. They need to serve people, so they're looking for people because they want to fulfill their purpose. That's kind of not really in the story. It's just, you get that in the subtext. That's why the robots are so desperate to find any person anywhere. So you know what? Yeah, they want to be exactly, Rudy. They want to be of service again. So you know what? Let me go back. I realize humans might remember whatever machines had done to the world in the first place. All right, where is that at? We should say something, I muttered. Yes, preferably something less threatening than silently looming outside the barn. I raised one hand toward the door. Hello, I called carefully. We are peaceful. All right, so it needs to stop, like right. I raised one hand toward the door. Hello. How should we just end it literally at hello? I think so. But hello, I called out. Something like that. Okay, hello, I called carefully. We're peaceful. No response came. Finally, I slowly pulled one of the barn doors open. Warm lantern light spilled out into the rain. And for the first time in over a century, how about like something like this? And for the first time in over a century, I saw. And for the first time in over a century, I saw humanity. I saw a person. I saw humanity again and was given, and my purpose was reborn and was given another purpose. I saw humanity again and I was given a new life, a new hope. Give me some ideas, people. Give me some ideas. I saw humanity again for the first time in over a century. And for the first time in over a century, I saw humanity again, and my purpose was born anew. Yep, I like that. A writing credit to El DeGusto. Okay, I can take out I saw humanity again. Okay, now I had purpose again, and for the first time in over a century, I had purpose again. My purpose was born anew. Hello. No response came. Finally, I slowly pulled one of the barn doors open. I saw humanity for the first time in over a century, and I knew. I think if I leave it with just saying "and I knew," too many people are going to be like, "Knew what? What? Knew what? What are you talking about?" So I think it needs to be that's not bad, but I think it needs to be a little bit more specific. I slowly pulled one of the barn doors open. Warm lantern light spilled out into the rain. And for the first time in over a century, my purpose was born anew. My purpose was born anew. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, shakalaka. Got it. All right. Let's see. Oh, we just hit 2 hours. 2 hours. Yep, it might be time to pack it up soon. Let's see. We didn't quite hit the goal, although we got close. So you know what I think what we're going to do is if we hit the goal, it was going to be listen to this week's video, The Park in the Woods, 30 minutes long, and it was going to be take a look at the outline that I have drawn up for the next Elijah Mandrake story. But we didn't hit the goal, so I am going to pick at least, I'm going to show y'all a little bit of what's going on with the next Elijah story. So here's my very, it's not quite my whole outline. It's only about half of the story. And this is how I do outlines too. It's usually done in like, you can picture this as like a chapter, although it's not a chapter because it's only, a 12,000 word story probably, but 8 to 12,000 words. But I'll show you all what we got. So picture this as like Act 1 or Chapter 1 kind of thing. So, it's been a while since the next Elijah. Probably like, 5 months maybe? Excuse me. Sorry that made a Diet Coke had an air bubble in my chest. So, it's going to start with a rare electronics drifter repairs an antique radio at the Gilded Mare. Okay? Elijah Jennifer Candy and the others hear a pastor named Malachi Grace, that's a working name, broadcasting from somewhere far west. Although I don't really know how far west. I think technically, I created this world a year ago. I think Elijah's in California or Nevada. I think he's in, I can't remember. El DeGusto with the whopping $20, a tithe to a nightmare lord and true. Thank you, El DeGusto. We get to do both now. We get to listen to the next story and go over this. So you know what? We'll actually this will extend the live stream for at least another half hour. So I want y'all to listen to this now. Let me actually compress this and actually get this edited in the background while we're going over the Elijah story, so that way it'll sound better. Thank you so much, El DeGusto. Thank you. That is awesome. Let's see. All right, so Elijah's one of my favorite. I think I have him. Maybe some of y'all might know better than me because it's been a long time since I have my other outline where it has like the whole Elijah universe. I think he's in Nevada or California. I think I put him in the city of sin, which would be Nevada. But I think I might have put him in the city of fallen angels, which is California. But pretty much, y'all know that this is basically like old Western kind of stuff, kind of like a Fallout vibe, but not that much technology, just very, very, very limited electronics, right? So a rare drifter comes in and he repairs an antique radio at the Gilded Mare. He takes that in exchange for his, room and board kind of thing, right? And then, during the, so much squeaking, I'm moving around. While they're doing all that, the thing gets repaired, and then a sermon comes across on the radio. It's a guy who styles himself as Malachi West, and he gives sermons, he gives weather forecasts, drought warnings, crop advice, all that kind of stuff, right? And every broadcast ends with an invitation to a hidden mountain sanctuary. Candy does not like this radio the moment it turns on. I'm going to have her kind of growling, her hackles raise up a little bit. And of course, Elijah's ring begins to burn. Because that's one of the big signs. That's one of the biggest signs that something is going on, right? I actually caught a live from someone I follow. Great to see you, straight A student. Anyways, he is going to, his ring is going to begin to burn. And at the end of the sermon, Elijah, so I don't know if y'all remember this, but I think in the first Elijah Mandrake story, I have Elijah sitting at the bar, and he's overhearing a conversation, maybe the first or the second one. He's overhearing a convo about, what's going to be in the story, and his whiskey turns to blood. And that's like the Eucharist, right? Maybe he even had wine. I don't know. Elijah's not a wine drinker, but maybe he was in story 1. But his whiskey is going. His whiskey turns to blood. Damn, it's getting late. And that was Elijah's sign of the Eucharist that, hey, it's God here. Listen up, Elijah. Listen to what this guy's saying. This is your sign that you got to go take care of this, right? So a lot of these, Elijah is always going to get some kind of sign or signal from God. And this time, Elijah, at the end of the sermon, is going to develop the stigmata in his palms and feet, or wrists and feet. It's not palms. Just so y'all know, Christ was impaled through the wrist, not his hands. That's a horrible thing that gets touted through history. Your palms would rip. If you ever become a narrator, if you never became a narrator, would you have found a way to write and publish stories? Honestly, I don't think so, El Gusto. Because I didn't really, I actually wanted to be a writer ever since I was like a 6 year old, ever since I was a kid, but I never actually followed through with it my whole life. I took one creative writing class in high school, and that was it. Never really, I wanted to be a writer since I was a kid, but I never actually followed it. And then, I don't think I would have actually started writing until I made the channel. If I never made the narration channel, I don't think I would have gotten into it, honestly. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did both. Because being a narrator, I was like, you know what? People keep asking me in so many comments, like, do you write your own stuff? Do you write your own stories? Is this a story you wrote? And I'm like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just do it. Let me try my hand at it. And then I started doing it, kept trying it out, and people liked it. And now I've been doing it for a while now, maybe 2 years. So Elijah is going to hear this story on the radio, and when the sermon is over, he's going to get the stigmata in his wrists and feet, which is basically as if you've been crucified. He's going to get the holes and he's going to bleed. That is his sign. Remember, being Elijah Mandrake is not a walk in the park. Well, I'm even more grateful you became a narrator then. Thank you so much, El Gusto. Thank you. We are very glad as well. Thank you, Allie. This is his sign. He falls off his bar stool, blood pooling from his wrists and feet, while Jennifer helps him up. Candy laps at his wrist in concern. Elijah takes it as a direct sign from God. Elijah gets the rough direction to the signal and leaves with Candy and Luther, right? That's kind of the opening. The next part of the story, Elijah is going to spend weeks crossing difficult country toward the mountains. Along the way, he meets people who swear Malachi's forecast saved crops, livestock, and lives. I should say, too, if you don't want the story ruined, tune out for the next, 3 minutes. Excuse me. Because, this is going to give away the outline, basically. Along the way, he meets all these people that Malachi, they love Malachi, right? Malachi is doing it good. He's telling people when droughts are coming along, when to stock up for food, when to harvest early, when to harvest late, when horrible weather events are on the way, all this kind of stuff. He's basically like he can predict the future in a sense. Now, the farther west he travels, the more signs he finds of pilgrims who follow the broadcast. Tracks and abandoned belongings lead toward the mountain, but almost nothing leads back. Now we're going to the terrain eventually forces Elijah to leave. I don't really like this part that much, but I thought it would give Elijah a more rough journey. But the terrain eventually forces Elijah to leave Luther behind and continue on foot with Candy. Now, he's going to get Luther back. He's not leaving Luther. He's not, slapping him off into the wilderness. This is going to be one of those things like, hey, Luther, go out, chill for a bit, roam, be free. I know we'll be reunited on my way back. God will find a way, right? So I might keep that in, I might not. Now, Elijah finally locates the tower and watches the compound from a distance. Another wanderer arrives and is warmly welcomed by Malachi. Elijah's hanging back. He's just watching. He needs to observe, see what's going on, avenues of attack. And that wanderer enters the tower and never comes back out. Elijah sneaks closer with Candy and witnesses Malachi consuming the wanderer. Malachi's preacher facade slips, revealing a fallen angel whose heavenly appearance is rotting away. My guy, I can remember plots to infinity and beyond that are my own, but I can't remember anything an hour after I hear it. I'll be pleasantly surprised when the story comes out. Good to know. We forgot to do the weekly complaint about Wendigoon crapping on good creepypastas again. Yeah, I know, we did. But I haven't listened to Creepcast in I think like 3 weeks. Well, I guess it's 2 weeks, but since it's like right at Monday, it's been 3 stories. Because I just haven't been working because of the baby as much, and usually I'll put on Creepcast if it's a long one while I work, doing DoorDash and stuff. But I've also been listening to a little bit of some other podcasts and whatnot. So I haven't been able to. They're not on my priority list. Plus, I've been doing a little bit when I have been doing DoorDash. I've been doing it more during the day, and I like to listen to the creepypastas when I work at night. There's something about when I listen to the creepypastas during the day, they just don't hit as good. Just how like you watch a horror movie at nighttime and it's so much better. The same thing with creepypastas. I'll say this: one time I was doing DoorDash at like 10 o'clock at night. Night's my favorite time to work for DoorDash because there's less people on the road. There's less drivers too, less DoorDash people, so it's a little busier. It was the first time I got to an episode in about a month. More people need to be named Malachi again. Such a good old school name it is. Let's see. I saw a good anime on Brain Blast. Really? I've got to look that up. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was delivering Chipotle to somebody. And I'm listening to a Mr. Ballin video, right? And he's talking. It's an episode about like demons. Like, oh, this family said they were being, stink of body odor as they stepped into the light. Checking the volume. He's like, the family claimed they were being haunted by demons or whatever, right? And then I'm listening. I'm getting kind of freaked out here. The story's actually kind of scaring me. And then my car starts shaking. I'm like, oh fuck, what the hell is this? My car shakes, and then I'm like, oh, I got to take this off. Thankfully, it was like right where somewhere I could pull over, and I pulled over, and I got a fucking flat tire. 10 o'clock at night. I was an idiot, and I didn't know how to use my jack. I have a little Prius. I love that car. It's a little fruity, right? But I love it. I get 60 miles a gallon for delivery. And it came with like the shittiest, like cheapest, like knockoff Chinese jack. And I didn't know how to use it. And it was dark, and I didn't know exactly where my jack point was. I know now. But, and I knew in my other cars, but the Prius was different. It was new. I didn't know how to do it. I had my hazards on. I was outside for like an hour, just chilling out there. Phone's almost dead. My mom didn't answer the phone. I think my parents took gummies that night and they were high, so they couldn't come out if they wanted to. And thankfully, a police officer was just on his way home from his shift, and he was not even a cop in that county. He's a cop in a neighboring county, but he still pulled over and he changed my whole fucking tire for me. So that was nice. That was really nice. But it happened. It was so freaky when that shit happened. I love my Prius C, but I inherited it, didn't pay for it. I got a 2016 Prius, and oh my gosh, I love this thing. I went from a Jeep Grand Cherokee, a 2004, which I love. And then that's when I got my DoorDash job. When I had that car, I got like 15 miles a gallon on delivery. And then that car my Jeep got the death wobble. So I was like, you know what? I need a new car. I'm going to be doing DoorDash. This is back when DoorDash was making like $1,000 a week. Doesn't make that now, but it did during COVID. And I was making $1,000 a week, and I was like, you know what? Let me get a gas efficient car. I bought a Prius, 65 miles a gallon. This thing, it was amazing. So I love that car. I still drive it. I've been in 2 fucking accidents, but I still love that thing so much. But yeah, parents on gummies. My parents were high as fuck. Yeah, it was I think I called him the next day, and my dad was like, "Son, we couldn't have helped you if we wanted to. Sorry." Yeah. I took some gummies for a while. They made me wait. Don't get me wrong, they felt good, but they made me super paranoid. I think I'm one of the few people that get like super paranoid and anxiety from THC. So I can't take them. Yeah, the cop was super cool. His name's Zach. Since then, I've actually delivered DoorDash to his house, to him. I tried to give him, I had that Chipotle, I couldn't deliver it obviously because my tire went flat. But I tried to give it to him. I was like, hey man, I'm not going to eat this. Do you want it? He's like, oh no, my wife's got something at home for me. I'm like, all right man, thank you so much. And he just went along his day. He changed my tire. He made himself home late. So that was a super cool guy. Really cool dude. And then I became a cop after that, and I tried to be the same kind of cool guy too. Just nice to people and helping out people. What about CBD? I don't know. I don't know what it would. I don't know what CBD would do to me, honestly. But the THC. I've never actually smoked weed ever. I never even smoked a cigarette. But the gummies were fun, and then I think I just took one that was just way too strong, and it fucked me up horribly, like all night, to where I was super paranoid. I had a horrible experience, hallucinating and shit. And then after that, I was like, fuck this, I'm never touching it again. Let's see. So, Elijah sneaks closer with Candy and witnesses Malachi consuming the Wanderer. All right. We said that. So feeding restores Malachi's beauty. So Malachi is a fallen angel. He fell with Lucifer, and he hates it. He hates being a demon. He hates being a fallen angel. So basically, he tries to restore his beauty and his wings and power for a time, and doing that will, if he consumes a person. I wanted to put consumes a soul, but I am a Christian, and the only person that has dominion over your soul is God. So I was like, I'm not gonna put that. But so he consumes a life, right? And then that will restore Malachi's angelic form for a bit, and he's always trying to get his angelic form back, Malachi. So Elijah searches the compound, finds belongings from the other pilgrims. He's like, oh, Malachi's broadcasts are bait. The information builds trust, and the sanctuary invitation supplies victims, right? So Malachi discovers Elijah's there. The two confront each other, and Elijah draws Saintbreaker, but is thrown by an unseen force into the wall. It's just telekinesis, right? Picture Supernatural. It's the THC that puts you off chops, but CBD, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, it is the THC that'll fuck you up. But I liked that kind of like crazy feeling, right? I don't think the CBD would give you the same high, at least. I used to take small bits of the the gummies and read. I already have a super vivid imagination, but when I would take a little bit of the gummy and I would read a book, it's already like a movie in my head. But when I had the gummies in me, it was like a fucking HD IMAX experience. It made me, it's like I was looking at the page and reading the words, and I was just fucking seeing this shit like in my living room when I would read when I was high. Anyway, I read The Black Farm, the guy who wrote Feed the Pig. I've read The Black Farm twice while high, and I got memories from reading that book like I was actually fucking in the book, like to an insane level. Crazy. So there's going to be kind of a bit of a fight between Elijah and Malachi. Candy is going to jump into the fight, and she's going to be stricken blind and deaf with a wave of the angel's hand. Don't worry, Candy will be okay. I need to find out a way for Candy to get healed, but she'll be fine. The fallen angel is going to cage Elijah, and the two begin to talk it out. Malachi argues that the people he consumes are a small price compared to the thousands he helps. Elijah rejects that logic, although it might be true, right? The angel's only taken a couple of people, but he's helping countless. But Elijah says, no, what's wrong is wrong. You can't kill people for this, even if you're helping people. Never heard of that, reading on gummies. Well, not like such things are out of my world anyways. Never been on gummies and whatnot. Yeah. I haven't been on them in like probably 4 years now since that last bad experience. Now, Elijah and Malachi are going to be talking it out. And then Malachi is going to start his nightly broadcast with Elijah still in the tower. Let's see. Oh, why did I double write this? Oh, no, that's right. I wrote a second part and then I didn't really like it. And then I was like, and then I hit my enter bar like 10 times and got it off the screen. So Elijah's going to do the thing. And then basically how I want the next part to work out is Elijah. Oh, no. I meant to scratch this out. Elijah's going to get out of his cage, and then him and Malachi are going to be talking about what he's doing, and he's going to get Malachi. Then he's going to, Elijah's going to sneakily sneak over to the little broadcast button. He's going to hit broadcast. And then in the middle of their talk, he's going to weasel out of Malachi the fact that Malachi is actually a fallen angel, and that Malachi is feeding on people, and that's why he's doing this. And then that's going to tell the listeners that, obviously, it's kind of like it's kind of it's a bit of an overused trope, to be honest, kind of. So, excuse me, I feel kind of corny for using it, but I still like it. Whereas, it's the trope where the person, gets the bad guy to give his evil plan while he's secretly recording him and broadcasting it to the world. It's kind of cheesy and overdone, but I like it. And we're gonna end it with some awesome action too, with a fight scene between Elijah and Malachi, and then Candy is gonna come in and help save the day too a little bit there, and then Candy will be healed and stuff like that. I don't know how we're gonna heal Candy, but this is if I do decide to make her blind and deaf, because I want the reader to kind of get the emotional thing going, but. She'll be fine in the end. Don't worry about that. Elijah will find a way to defeat Malachi. He's going up against a fallen angel here, but he'll find a way. So he'll do two birds with one stone. He will kill Malachi, and then he'll show the world that Malachi is actually a demon, basically. And then we'll quickly zoom by with Elijah's journey back to the Gilded Mare. And then he'll find Luther on the way back too. So, y'all have the outline for the next Elijah story. Hopefully I can start working on this pretty soon. I think I'm going to I might take tomorrow off. But yeah, we'll see. I have narcolepsy, so all of my sleep is REM dominated. I never forget my dreams. I can influence what I dream. I'm the same way. Eliathe or Eli or Elio. I'm the same way. I'm a super lucid dreamer. If I used to have a dream journal for a while where I would wake up and I'd write down my dreams, but it was so tiring because I would wake up and it would have like a full composition notebook like you take to school. And I would write like 5 pages every morning. And I was like, all right, this shit is just too much. If I write down every dream I remember, this is going to take like an hour every morning. So I eventually stopped. Call me Leo. Got it. Yep. El Gusto. I outline everything pretty heavily. This is actually a pretty sparse outline. Usually my outlines are way more detailed than this. Because I like to know everything about the story before I actually start writing. Let's see. So you know what? I'm going to play the next story, and maybe I'm going to be maybe I'll work on the thumbnails. For the monster I carried through the woods, and then post-apocalypse, the robot one. I'll be working on the thumbnails, or I'm going to take the next 30 minutes and go chill in the living room, and then just read chat. One or the other. But you'll be able to see by what's on the screen. All right, let me go ahead and play this, and we can thank all the super chatters tonight, and Cisco and El Degusto, Cisco, El Degusto, Lullaby, and Alley Oops. Thank you. It all started with a book fair. Briella clung to her mother's arm like a snake to its prey, her grip tight as to not lose her lifeline. Families swarmed the elementary halls, and a cheap plastic banner nearby read, "Welcome to Student Appreciation Night." Her mother pointed over at a drawing affixed to one of the many different pin boards showing off student art, splashes of watercolor and scribbles of crayon staining every other page. "Is that yours?" "Yeah." Briella watched nervously as her mother took a closer look, but her worry faded as she smiled. "It's beautiful. Is there a story behind it?" "I don't know." It was a simple pencil sketch, reminiscent of an old Disney or Don Bluth film, just without the advantage of time-carved skill. A black kitten with big eyes stared blankly next to an older tabby. The latter stood protectively over the former, watching the world with a narrowed, suspicious gaze. They were surrounded by dogs. Some looked kind, some didn't. But they were shadowed by darkness all the same. "It just popped into my head." Her mother ruffled her hair. "Well, I'd say that's pretty good for a first grader. Do you have any more art you want to show me?" Briella shook her head. "That's okay. How about we go take a look at the book fair, see if anything catches your eye, and then we can go home. How does that sound?" She nodded, and then they went through the halls, through the sea of people. The ancient scent of book dust overpowered the stink of body odor as they stepped into the library. Thin metal shelves crowded across the calico tile, stuffed to the brim with books, cheap toys, and God knows what else. Near the makeshift checkout desk, a giant cardboard cutout of Scooby-Doo stood, showing off a gleeful grin as the phrase, "Reading is fun," was scrawled underneath his awkward paws. She giggled and tugged on her mom's sleeve. "No, you're a big girl, okay? You can go grab books yourself now. I'll be waiting right here, I promise. Now, go have fun. When you've picked out what you want, just come back to me and we'll go pay, all right?" "Okay." Reluctantly, Briella took a step forward, then another, and then she was off. It would have been heaven if not for all the people. She didn't get to look at a book for too long, others pushing and pulling like swelling waves. Barely keeping on her feet, Briella made her way to a calmer section and grabbed the first thing that caught her eye. A young novelist guide for great stories, it was called. Intriguing. Briella flipped through the pages carefully, trying not to break the soft paperback spine. Catching glances of chapter headings and character tips, she couldn't help but think of all the other stories she had read before, and all the stories she had come up with in her head. But with this, they wouldn't stay in her head for long. She could practically feel the excitement burning through her body as she ran up to her mother, her tiny hands clasped firmly around the slick cardstock cover. "A writing book?" Her mother looked over it nervously. "Are you sure you'll like this? More than the other books?" "Yeah, I'm sure." Biting her lip, her mother scanned the book again. "All right, if you're sure." Barcodes were scanned, cash passed hands, and soon enough the book fell back into Briella's grasp, shining under the blinding fluorescence above. She could feel it in her heart that she'd made the right choice. That was 15 years ago. God, where'd all that time gone? It felt like it had been 1983 just yesterday, at least in her mind. Driving down the windy country roads, Briella tried to drown out the sound of gravel against metal as she turned up the radio. The channels were flickering in and out, interrupting each other's sentences with static and garbled nonsense. And the last time she'd seen any sign of civilization aside from the road was about 45 minutes ago. Maybe I really did go the wrong way, she thought, as she glanced at the map sitting idly in the passenger seat. Pulling over into the tall grass, Briella grabbed the well-worn map and unfolded it to the best of her ability. Soon enough, she was enveloped in a world of paper and no less confused. It was like the long drive had melted her brain, and she couldn't seem to figure anything out. She sighed, tossing the map away as she checked the gas gauge. There was a little under 1/4 left. Shit. Reluctantly, Briella stepped out into the open air, cupping her hands over her face as she squinted against the sun's blinding rays. Look for water and radio towers, her mother's voice echoed in her head. And cornfields. If there's a cornfield, that means there's got to be people nearby. Probably. No water tower and definitely no radio tower. She knew that before she even got out of the car. But there was a cornfield in the far distance, and she was pretty sure she could see a grain silo just behind a hill. Bingo! Hopping behind the steering wheel, the motor roared to life as she sped down the road. She took a turn, focusing on the hill blocking the silo, and the closer she got, the more structures she could see coming out of hiding. A dilapidated barn, a rusted chicken coop, and to her relief, a rickety farmhouse crept into view, and pulling into the driveway, she noticed an old man with mottled skin and crow's feet stepping out onto his front porch, a graying mutt following close behind. In his hands was a shotgun. Her heart dropped. Immediately she hit the brakes and put her hands up, breath hitching in her throat. "I'm not here for trouble," she hollered through her open window. The man paused, looking confused. "You from out of town?" Yeah. "Shoot, that's my bad, little lady." Leaning his weapon up against a rocking chair, he said, "I don't bite. You need something?" She nodded. "What?" "Directions to the nearest gas station." Briella's heart pounded against the soft wall of her chest as the old man walked over to the driver's seat window, his dog still close behind. She could barely make out the name Buddy scrawled onto his ragged collar. "Please, I really don't mean any trouble." "Oh, that shotgun ain't for you. I thought you were one of those punks who keeps killing my chickens." He looked over at the coop, and Briella noticed that considering the structure's size, it looked quite barren. "I was just going to scare him off anyways. No bullets needed when you've got fear." "Yeah, definitely." "Said you needed gas, right?" "Directions to a gas station." "Look, it's going to be a while until you can get to one, and I'm guessing that if you're asking, you ain't got much left. I got a few things in my garage. They're a little old, but they should be able to get you to Pikesville." Briella paused, looking the man up and down. The mostly reasonable part of her mind told her not to trust the guy who had a shotgun pointed at her, but the desperate part of her knew how much she needed that fuel. Finally, she took a deep breath and asked, "You'd really help me out like that?" "Of course. It's the neighborly thing to do, even if we ain't neighbors." She started to pull out her wallet when he chuckled. "No, little lady. Good deeds are free of charge." "Thank you." The old man hurried towards his garage, and a moment later he was setting down red plastic tanks next to the back wheel as she popped open the fuel door. Draining the tanks, the stranger asked, "So, where are you headed? You need directions?" She nodded. "Pikesville, actually." "Well, speak of the devil. What you think of that, buddy?" The man smiled down at his panting dog, continuing, "May I ask why? It ain't exactly a tourist spot anymore." "I'm doing some investigation at an old theme park there. Wonder World, I think it's called." Immediately, the man's old smile flipped to a frown. "Are you pulling my leg?" "No, why would I?" "That place ain't right, you know. I'd hate to see a little lady like you get swallowed up by all that malarkey." He looked up into the cloudless sky, grimacing. "Is this for some school project or something?" "I'm doing write-ups on haunted and abandoned places. It's for a magazine that's about to start publishing in a few months. If I stockpile enough articles, then they'll have content for at least a little while." "How much you getting paid?" "Why'd you like to know?" "Because nobody could pay me enough money to go there. That place." The man shuddered. "How much do you even know about Wonder World?" "Enough to know it'll make a good story." "That's the truth, I'll give you that." Shutting the fuel door, the old man said, "But I'll give you one more tip. Never go in that damn place, ever. It already has enough of a body count." Briella muttered an okay, but she knew she couldn't promise him. She had to get content after all, and the best way to get it was to experience it herself. Plus, she's had plenty of people to tell her to never enter these cursed or damned places. Nothing ever happened, and nothing ever will. That's what she told herself, at least. Enough of my preaching, the man said, taking back his thanks. I'll let you get going. Safe travels, little lady. Thanks. Hey, if you don't mind, could I use your phone real quick? Of course. Following him inside, he asked, You hungry? I'm cooking up me and Buddy some bacon and eggs, and knowing us, I'm sure there'll be more to go around. Immediately she said yes. Her stomach had started growling hours ago. She wasn't going to deny free food. The comforting sound of sizzling breakfast hummed in one ear as Briella held up the yellowing rotary phone to the other. It was a miracle it still worked. And as she wondered if anyone would even pick up, a familiar voice cut out through all the noise. You've reached Lori Parker. How may I help you? Hey, Mom, it's me, Bree. Oh! Her mother's excitement was palpable, even through the decaying static. Bree, how's the trip going? You seen anything real spooky yet? Not really. I mean, mold's pretty spooky, but that probably doesn't count. There was an awkward silence, and faintly, Briella could hear her mother's heavy breathing. She felt just as nervous, tapping her foot so hard on the wooden floor it was beginning to squeak. So, where are you heading now? Her mom finally asked. Pikesville. Ever heard of it? No, where's that? Illinois. Near Chicago? Nope, southern end, actually. Darn, I was hoping if it was close enough maybe we could get together. You know, get lunch, hang out, do all the girly things. Yeah. Briella's voice turned hoarse. She wondered if she'd even actually meet with her mother if Pikesville was close to Chicago. Sounds fun. Look, I've got to go, but I just wanted to say hi. Love you. Love you too. And remember, you can call me anytime. I know. Hesitantly, Briella hung up, and as she withheld a sigh, the old man said, Tough talk, huh? It's complicated. Thankfully, the old man gave Briella better directions than her map did, and soon enough she was rolling past a hand-painted wooden sign reading, Village of Pikeville, population 1,973. She couldn't help but wonder why it was called a village in the first place if it had already had more than 1,000 people living there. The town looked surprisingly lively, given how little information there was about it. Driving into the square, she saw not only people walking around, but a library, bar and grill, drugstore, and even a lumber yard. If she had just been passing through, she would have never thought such a cookie-cutter place harbored as strange of an attraction as Wonderworld. Trying her best not to hit the steep curves, Briella locked her car behind her and hurried into the bar and grill, checking her watch. She was there in the nick of time. Welcome to Townie's Bar and Grill. How may I help you? Asked the bored teenager behind the front desk, not looking up from her fashion magazine. I'm with the Parker party. Yeah. Finally putting down her magazine, the teenager gestured lazily for her to follow her as they weaved between busy tables and booths, country music blaring all around them. Briella honestly couldn't tell if the lighting was dim on purpose or the lights were halfway broken. Finally, they made their way to a corner booth, where to Briella's surprise only sat one person so far. A man probably a year younger than her, with a shaggy brown mullet and intense olive eyes. Sitting down across from him, she asked, You must be Andrew Morgan, right? That's me. She held out her hand, but he quickly shook his head. I'm good. This isn't that professional, right? Her face flushed slightly. It is to me. It's kinda my job. Andrew gave her a curt nod, and as he looked back down at his menu, she asked, Are the other two not coming anymore? They're coming. When? We agreed on 5. I don't know. He didn't look up from his menu. Naomi's been picking up Jonah ever since he got his car totaled. Maybe that's it. Oh, God, is he okay? Yep. And 10 minutes passed, and as Briella sat in silence, she thought back to the messages she'd exchanged. Her editors preferred if she was able to interview locals about the locations she visited, so therefore she'd emailed anyone she could figure would give her an interesting perspective. Thank God for AOL. She ended up getting in contact with a man named Jonah Weber, a local librarian and the nephew of a man who mysteriously disappeared at Wonderworld named Gerald Thompson. They discussed meeting to talk about his experiences. He agreed, and said he had some friends he could try to convince to talk too, and the deal was done. Briella didn't think it could get any better than that. Before she could get any more lost in thought, a new voice shook her from her thoughts. "Are you Briella Parker?" Nearly jumping out of her skin, she was surprised to see a woman towering over her. Jet black hair draped asymmetrically from one side, the other side clipped to just below her pierced ears, heavy plastic triangles hanging from her lobes. Her faded tank top revealed a heartbeat pattern tattooed around her bicep, and immediately, Briella couldn't help but feel a bit intimidated by how muscular she was. She definitely never skipped leg day, or arm day, or whatever other days there were. Briella gave her a quick nod, her voice failing her as she tried to make a proper introduction. Thankfully, another boy popped out from behind the woman and grinned. "It's awesome to finally meet you, Miss Parker. I'm Jonah." I figured." They shook hands, and Briella hoped her palms weren't too sweaty as Jonah continued. "That's Andrew, and this is Naomi. I mean, I'm sure you already figured that out, but it's still good to get everyone on the same page." Briella nodded again as Jonah sat down next to Andrew. The boy was practically quivering with excitement, his bright smile like the sun on a cloudy day. He looked younger than she figured he actually was, autumn curls framing his baby face, and he almost reminded her of the little brother she'd always wished she had. "Is it all right if I sit? Or—" Naomi gestured for the last free spot next to Briella, and immediately the journalist scooted over. "Thanks." "No problem," Briella said, wringing her hands nervously. Jonah's energetic green gaze locked on Briella's, the giant grin still plastered across his face. "So, where should we start?" "Oh, well, that depends, I guess." Pulling her tape recorder from her bag, Briella cleared her throat, stumbling over her words as she rambled. "First, I should properly introduce myself and establish some ground rules. You know, how I do everything and all that. First off, my name is Briella Parker, and I'm a journalist for the upcoming Ghosts and Ghouls magazine. I write articles based on mysterious and/or haunted locations for a profit. If you do not want to participate in discussions of those kinds of topics, I'd suggest you tell me now." No one batted an eye. "Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on, I will be asking questions regarding Wonderworld and your mysterious and/or supernatural experiences with the location. Your answers, as well as our entire conversation, will be recorded so I can quote you more accurately in the future. If you would like to have your part of the interview purged from the record and not be featured in future articles, please contact me within the next 30 days so I can make proper corrections and replacements before publishing. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's start with some introductions." Pressing the record button, Briella cleared her throat and said, "Please state your name, age, and relation to Wonderworld for the sake of clarity." Jonah went first, practically bustling at the seams to speak. My name's Jonah Weber. I'm 22 years old, and my uncle disappeared in the Cavern Cove section of Wonderworld." "I'm Naomi Connor. I'm 23 years old." The woman looked from the tape recorder to Briella and then back to the tape recorder. "Do I have to state my occupation?" "Nope, just name, age, in relation to the Wonderworld case." "Oh yeah, sorry. My sister went down the big water slide." "The shark slide," Andrew corrected. "She went down the shark slide, and no one ever saw her come back out." Their gazes turned to Andrew. Sighing, he muttered in complete monotone. "Andrew Morgan, 21. My mom never came back from the bathroom. Just disappeared." He went quiet, tapping his fingers against the table, but no one made a sound. A moment later, Jonah playfully nudged his shoulder. "Are you not going to mention the other part, or what?" Andrew scoffed. "And my grandpa was the one who created the park. There, you happy now?" Jonah grinned. "You know you love me." "Why the hell would you say that gay shit while she's recording?" "I meant it platonically. Jeez." "I'll cut that part from the record." "Nah, keep it in," Naomi smirked. "Naomi, I swear." Andrew shook his head. Briella could practically hear him gritting his teeth. "Whatever. Can we just move on already?" Briella continued. Let's start with some general questions. Anyone can answer, just make sure not to talk over each other. Wonderworld, from what I could find, seems to have quite a mysterious origin, almost more mysterious than the disappearances that occurred there. Most of what anyone can tell me is that it was created as some sort of competition towards Disney. Do any of you know anything else? Again, everyone turned toward Andrew. What? Just because I'm the guy's grandson doesn't mean I know anything. But you do know some things, Jonah said. I mean, you've told me before, for God's sake. Fine, okay. So I don't know a lot, but I know that Grandpa Harold kept it a pretty big secret for a while. He only hired people to help furnish and fix things when absolutely necessary, and when he did, he always paid them the big bucks so they wouldn't talk about it. Not even my dad got to help. Then one day, he just started advertising it out of nowhere. He started putting up posters all around town, talked on radio shows, even made his own low-budget commercials. I can probably still quote some. Here, give me a sec. Come one, come all, to the most incredible family-friendly attraction Illinois has to offer. Welcome to Wonderworld. Let your children loose in the nature nursery. Dare to ride our one-of-a-kind shark slide in the sea sanctuary. Groove through the galaxy on Planetary Pursuit's disco roller rink. Prepare for thrills and chills with a dark ride and obstacle course in Cavern Cove, and meet our wonderful cast of critters, Lily Lamb, Franny Fish, Delilah Dove, and Leo Lion. Start your adventure of a lifetime today. Briella felt a chill run down her spine. She remembered that commercial. She dug it up during her investigation. It had felt so familiar when she first found it, and Andrew had quoted it perfectly. What? Andrew snapped, and instantly she realized she'd been staring. I had to listen to that thing over and over and over again. It's burned into my damn skull. Don't you have something burnt into that brain of yours like that, too? Jeez, Andrew, simmer down. She's probably just surprised is all. Naomi looked over at Briella, her hazel eyes sharp as a hawk's. Right? Yeah, sorry. Don't be. Andrew's just an asshole. Briella gave her a sheepish smile as Andrew's face turned a feverishly angry red. Well, at least I'm not. Jonah smacked Andrew's shoulder hard, clearly not playing around anymore. Don't say something you'll regret, man. It'll be on record. Slowly, his skin started to turn pale again, and Andrew took a deep breath. I'm sorry. I just get a little worked up talking about all this. I really didn't mean. This time it was Naomi's turn to interrupt him. It's okay. Let's just keep going. The table turned silent, and hesitantly Briella asked, Do you know anything else about Wonderworld's origins, Andrew? No, we never really talked about it. Especially not after, you know. I'll go ahead and move on then. What was Wonderworld like when it was open? Like on a normal day? The other three looked at each other wearily, and Jonah shrugged. I don't know. It was just like any other kind of cheap theme park or fair I'd ever gone to. Always busy, though. The only difference was there was a whole lot more variety in attractions and theming. There were 4 sections branching off the lobby: Nature Nursery, Sea Sanctuary, Planetary Pursuit, and Cavern Cove. And each of them had their own mascot, too. Lily, Franny, Leo... Who was the dove again? Delilah Dove, Andrew butted in. Yeah, that's it. Technically, each section was for any age range, but each definitely had their own specific demographics. Nature Nursery was, well, a nursery. Parents could either stay with their kids as they played, or they could drop them off and have the employees watch over them. It was like those big play places you see at McDonald's. Planetary Pursuit was where all the teenagers hung out. I mean, it had everything a high school kid would want. A disco roller rink, a bunch of arcade machines, cheap food. I remember every time I tried to go in there, though, a bunch of them would tease me. It was real gate kept by the upperclassmen. Cavern Cove was actually a little spooky, in all honesty. It was always dim, and that dark ride always scared the crap out of me. I think it was about that one Bible story with Daniel and the lions. There were a lot of scary looking lines. I mean, they almost looked like taxidermy or something. And the obstacle course, gosh, I hope no one claustrophobic went in that thing, because it got tight. It was themed around cave diving. But yeah, a lot of kids got scared there, but adults liked it. And then there was Sea Sanctuary. I'll be blunt. Old people loved it. It was the calmest part of the park. It had an interactive aquarium, very sensory. And then there's the shark slide. It was a water slide that went through the shark tank. Wait a minute. Briella needed her head forward. I don't think sharks are even legally allowed in aquariums. Well, what did you think the slide named the Shark Slide was all about? I thought maybe writers got spat out of a big cartoon shark at the end or something. Not actual sharks. Are they still there? They can't be, right? Andrew shook his head. When my dad closed Wonder World, another aquarium took him. But how was any of that legal? My dad said Grandpa bribed the local fish and wildlife service. The other aquarium only got to take them for research purposes. Jeez. Briella gestured over to Jonah. I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue. I was pretty much done. Oh, all right. Next question. Specifically for... Let's start with you, Jonah. What do you remember about the day your uncle went missing? Jonah opened his mouth, but before any words came out, Andrew asked, Look, how in-depth do you want to get with this interview? Because if we go into every nitty-gritty detail, we're going to be here for a while. Briella didn't answer. If you really want something interesting to write about, I don't think words can describe it. How about this? I have the key to my grandfather's old house, and I can even take you to Wonderworld. You can get your pictures and your evidence and all that jazz real quick that way. And you can still interview us, Naomi said. Briella couldn't help but notice the dirty look Andrew gave her. Either way, Andrew continued slowly, getting up from his seat. You can email me if you want to take my offer, but I've got to get going. My dad wants us home soon. Of course, thanks for talking with me. I know how hard it can be to talk about. Don't worry about it. But as Briella started to turn her attention from the other two, Andrew leaned in close and whispered, barely audible above the bar music, And please, choose the tours. Then you can get out of my fucking hair. Then he walked away. I'm back, everybody. Wow, did the story finish already? Did the story finish, or did it stop playing when I was gone? I don't know. Did y'all hear the ending, or I had the my phone downstairs with me. I had my thing muted, like my phone muted, but I was watching chat, so I don't know if it actually finished. But I turned my volume up a minute ago, and I didn't hear any words, and I was like, is the story done? Muted, but I was watching chat, so I don't know if it actually finished. But I turned my volume. All right, wait. What was the story? Oh yeah. Well, this story does end on like a kind of a cliffhanger. Let's see. The story is here we go. Yeah. Let's see. Let me just check something real quick somewhere else. Okay. It ended with and he walked away. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know how long I left y'all just chilling in here with no story going, because I was like, wow, 27 minutes could not have went by that fast. But I turned on my volume on the phone to be like, all right, where are we in the story? So I know when to walk back up there. And then I heard nothing. And I was like, oh, how long have I just left them alone? It was the end. So this actually, this was uploaded to now. See, one of the you know the annoying or one of the things I don't like about stories like this is that it just ended that way. But it was posted to the Creepypasta wiki, which means that authors post there and they let their works be used for free or transformed in any way. So technically, if I wanted to, or if anybody wanted to, they can take this story and they can continue it. So when I read this story today, I read it this morning. It has no ending. I didn't know that. I just started reading the story, and then I got to the end, and I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Y'all, it's over." So I was like, you know what? Technically, I could pick this story up. I don't know if I will, because I wouldn't really know when we entertain ourselves when left alone and unsupervised. Yeah, y'all sure do. I don't know what to do with this story. I think I'm just gonna leave it like this. I know it's annoying to hear a story like this end like that, but I still did like the story. I mean, it was a cool thing where the lady goes in and she's trying to figure out, you know, what's going on with it. And then we have, what's his name? Was it Andrew? Or, yeah, obviously, at the end, Andrew has something to do with these missing people. So, it does end on a cliffhanger, but I wouldn't really know how to continue this, to be honest. Andrew has something. Andrew knows what's going on, but then he also stops Naomi in the middle of a sentence earlier. Where is it? Where does he stop? I'm looking for it. Yeah. Well, Briella, yeah, he goes, well, at least I'm not. And then Jonah smacked Andrew's shoulder hard, clearly not playing around anymore. Don't say something you'll regret, man. It'll be on record, he says. And I'm like, oh, maybe they're actually all kind of in on this. In a sense. I would like to see where this story goes, but there's no author either. So that's kind of another bummer. Is I would love to contact the author and say, hey, do you have anything else for this? Because this story was posted a month ago. So usually if there was a sequel, they would have posted a part 2 by now. And there is no author, like I said, so I can't even figure out who wrote it. but this will be probably tomorrow's story, or I'm going to find something else and record that in time. And then maybe I can work on this, a continuation in the background, and see, like the next part of this would be Briella going to the park and investigating it herself, and then maybe something happens to her, and then we find out some plot where Andrew, Jonah, and Naomi have been working together to, inherit this place, and maybe the park has to consume X amount of people, to kind of stay afloat or alive in some way. I don't know, something like that. But everybody, that is a 3-hour live stream. And if y'all do have any ideas on how y'all would finish this story, comment it down below at the end of the live stream, and maybe I'll figure out a way to keep it going. Post something else, but you'd have to post that like tonight, or like tomorrow morning, because it would have to be early enough for me to read that, like the idea, then go ahead and record something else, because I have nothing else recorded. I do have the robot story, so I could post the robot story tomorrow on the YouTube channel, and then leave this, to work in the background, something like that. Do you remember which author did that story about the kid growing up with an abusive uncle, and then he gets bitten by a vampire and has to do yard work? That was a great story. Want more from that? I don't know if that's a question to me, El Gusto, because I know I've never narrated something like that. That sounds cool, though. He gets bitten by a vampire and has to do yard work. What else do we get? My bestie and I are walking corruption. There you go. Yeah, that was one of your stories? Alright, let me read the comment again. Which author did that story about the kid growing up with an abusive uncle, and then he gets bitten by a vampire and has to do yard work? I'm not gonna lie, anybody else in chat ever hear that story from me? It was your first story that made me love the channel as a must-listen channel. Well, now I want to tell you that I did do that story. But no, I have no memory of that. Oh. Wait. Okay, now that made me think of a story where a kid is like hiding under his bed at night or something like that. And okay, I remember what you're talking about now, Gusto. Oh yeah, right when your chat came up, the kid was visited by, yeah. So I did remember that before you typed that chat in just now, but the chat's on like a 30-second delay when y'all hear me. But yeah, now I remember what you're talking about. You are right. I remember that story. I have no idea what that story was called though. Here, let me bring up my channel. I did record that story. That is a story from me. Let's see. Videos. That is a very old story. I mean, that is a story from like that might be like a 3. I might not be able to find that because that's like a 3-year-old story, I think. Like, damn, I wouldn't even know how far back to go. That story has to be at least 3 years old. And see, I post so many stories too that it's like, there's no way I'd be able to find it. At least not, I'm looking through. But like I said, I don't even know where it would be. And I don't think I would have put vampire in the title either. If y'all haven't listened to this is a good one. I'm a small town rural deputy. Last night I met the devil. That was a good one. I like that story. That story I do know though. I got that off the Creepypasta wiki. Which is like, which is this, the creepypastawiki.com or creepypasta.fandom. Google Creepypasta Wiki. I know I got that story from there, and that was probably in the not Micropasta, but it was definitely. Tell me if you remember right, Gusto. I think that was like a, I don't know, 10-minute story, but man, maybe it was longer than that, but I feel like it was pretty short. Here's another good story. The Book of Revelation has a strange set of rules. That was a good one. That guy got banned off of Reddit for some reason. I don't know why, but he was actually a pretty good author. And I haven't been able to find his work in years. I'm such a fan of The Deal Maker. He makes my soul happy. I've listened to it way too many times. I'm slowly but surely, I'll get the next one of that out too. Do the Hell series. It's great stuff. Yeah, I need to finish. That has like the series I collect souls for the devil. That's got like 2 stories left, and I might put that into one story, but I just need to figure out a way to finish it because I think he has like 2 souls left to collect. Yeah, there's I'm not gonna lie. I love my thumbnails. I especially these aren't as good because now I'm getting like to the really old stuff, but I think I got some of the best thumbnails out there. Oh, the good old Darling Twins. I love the Darling Twin stories. I wonder what I would have named that. Let's see. It was CIA? Well, the Revelations author was CIA Herpes. He was great. He knew his mythology and appreciated people getting the references. El Gusto, you're good, man. I didn't know. I didn't even say his name because I didn't think that anyone in the chat would have known the author. Yeah, I actually did a lot of CIA Herpes stuff, but I think he was pretty. I think he was pretty. He was pretty wacky because I went through his comment history on Reddit one time, and he's a bit of a guy. I'll tell you that. He probably got banned for being toxic or something, but something that I wouldn't even call toxic. But you know how soft people are. Okay, I definitely don't think it was this far away now. I don't think it was this far back. But yeah, he probably got banned for being toxic or something like that. And shit that people would find toxic is shit that I would find funny. So. No, it wasn't the monster under my bed. I know exactly what that story is. It's definitely not that one. I had a feeling someone was going to say if it was that one though, but I know what that story is. That was a story by Matt Demersky. But yeah, I wish CIA Herpes kept writing. I wish I could find a way to contact him because a lot of his stories did pretty well too. Yeah, you know what? Let me go in here also and let me type Nightmares Nightly, and then I'll type in here. Was it that? Here, I have to mute the something real quick because um, if I play like a second of the music, it's gonna get copyright struck. Is it this? I don't think it's this. Oh, look at it! Bravo was hating the uncle, laughed at the cat and mouse stuff toward the end. It must be this. Yeah, the child abuse was the scariest part of the story. Wow, I didn't know it was a 38-minute story. I thought this was like a 10-minute story. El DeGusto. 1 year ago, excellent storytelling in this. Really invested in Bobby's inherent doomed life. Funny little hints early on, like the Romanian family that used to own the house. One of the best stories on this channel. Look at that. We found it. Thanks to was it Rudy who gave? Yeah, Rudy gave me the idea to search the word closet on the channel. Yeah, this was a hit or miss. Some people, some people don't like these kinds of stories. I like them. The fact that it was a child abuse story doesn't bother me. Like, it's a story. People need to get the fuck over it. Like, people freak out about Tommy Taffy. I think Tommy Taffy is one of the best creepypastas out there. No, Ezra. Like Ezra. I mean, yeah, he's a big commenter on the channel. 11 months old. He's gonna be like, wow, he liked an 11-month-old comment. Who's the author? That's right. That's what you asked. Here, let me pull this over real quick. I don't want to. Let's see. Authors page. All right, let's go back. Creature in the Closet. Oh, author Jake Wick. Oh, it's the From Hell I Write guy. Yeah. What made you even think about this, Gusto? You just randomly thought about it? While we're here, so I'll show y'all what I do sometimes. So, I like stories to be long, right? Or like at least 30 minutes. So when I find an author I like, then I'll do this. I'll go, okay, I like this author. Let me look at their stuff. So I'll go click, 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 click. And then I'll click on like a bunch of their stuff, right? And then I go, oh, scroll bar's too big. Can't do that. Oh, scroll bar's pretty small, but we did do that. And some of the comments on there. Right? If the scroll bar is like this size, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I like that. Scroll bar too big. Scroll bar is good size, but I have read this. And then, of course, when you read a famous creepypasta like this and everyone bitches and complains in the comments, I've heard this already. Good for you. All right, not that. No, too big. Yeah, too big. And then I go, okay, all those were too short. And then let's check all the other ones. See, this is too short. But this could be like a member video. Oh, this is actually part of a series, apparently. Oh, this was part of From Hell I Write, I think. Yeah. That was part 2. Oh, hey. This might be something to read. This yeah. Kevin, thanks for everything. I'm off work and won't be home for a bit, so I'll probably miss the end. Love your life, bro, or live your life. Thank you very much. I'm about to hop off too. But I was like, I'm actually going to go ahead and save this because this is a good length and from a good author. Just one of your best ones, in my opinion. I don't remember anyone else narrating it either. I might, Gusto, I might go ahead and listen to this again at some point. I might go ahead and listen to this again because it's been a long time. And you know what? I might read whatever this is. Let's look at the comments. Very interesting. 10 out of 10. All right, so Gusto, you may have just found one of the next stories. Ot O by Jake Wick. All right, that one's too short. This one's not that. It's like a 20-minute story. I can't really do 20-minute stories. Plus, it's a Halloween one. Okay, that was like part 3 or something. Uncle Victor, scroll bar. Nah, it's not long enough. But it's probably a cool story. Maybe we can save that for a member story. Have a great night, Zach, by the way. Have a good night, man. Thanks for showing up tonight. Ooh, A Very Lonely Road. That is a nice small scroll bar. We like the look of that. Oh, you're out too, Allie? Have a great night, Allie. I'm about to hop off too. And we are going to go ahead and save this one also, because this is a scroll bar this small. This is like an hour and 10 to an hour and 30-minute story, probably. So, Gusto may have just found the next 2 stories. All right, very cool, very cool. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off of here as well. Thank you all so much for sticking around tonight. Thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all very much for hanging out, keeping the chat live and active. If I wrote a good story, would you narrate it, Anthony? Yes, I possibly would. You just have to go to one of the descriptions of my videos and go to my, you have to post it to my Reddit Nightmares Nightly page. I have a Nightmares Night. I never promote it, so no one ever posts to it, but I need to start promoting it to get more viewer submissions. But I will only read it if it's on my Reddit page or if you post it to the Creepypasta wiki or something like that. I don't click on anything in emails. I don't click on Google Docs. I don't click on, hey, check this. Here's a link to my story. You have to link it to my Reddit page, and I click on it that way. And it gets just submitted on Reddit. You know what I mean? But thank you all so much. Maybe I can recommend it to Creepcast to see if they crap on it. Yep. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm going to hop off here for the night. We'll be here next week at Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. And thanks for the super chats, guys. Chat's been super good. We actually hit a lot of people watching tonight. We're usually around that 15 to 18, and we stuck around like 25 for like a lot of the stream tonight, so that was super cool. I don't know where all the extra people came from, but keep sharing it, keep letting people know, keep inviting people in, and hopefully they all enjoy the channel. Okay, I'll make a good one for you. Thank you, Anthony. And it's got to be... I typically don't read anything for the most part, unless I don't have time and I'm in a gym and I need to read something quick. It usually has to be at least 7,000 words, because that's at that 40-minute mark. I like the stories to be 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Anything below that, and people just don't click on it. Like this, the post-apocalypse robot story is 23 minutes long. It might get like 2,000 views, which, a normal one should get like 4 or 5. But maybe it's got a good title and they'll click on it anyways, but it's hard to really tell, to be honest. But usually I post a 20-minute video and nobody watches it. But, as always, thanks for listening, everybody.